And everybody to another episode of the Novice Talk podcast. My name is William, 10th floor Calaco,
I'm Anthony again.
and this episode we have a special guest.
Super
Please state your
special.
name
My name is Divad Retasal.
and state your occupation.
I'm an artist of many forms, you know. I mean, usually painting, you know. I like to paint. I mean, I do poems, and like I got a camera, you know, something like that, the VHS kind of shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is like I'm gonna be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
But these are all things I haven't done yet. I haven't proved myself yet. So right now I'm just an artist, you know.
So, like, to put it into a definition, like freelance?
Yeah.
Just kind of feeling it out?
Yeah, multimedia, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, just because I don't ever want to limit myself, you know.
Yeah.
I got too many ideas.
Are you trying to be like a modern Renaissance man?
Yeah. I mean, whatever that means, you know. Like, of course, there's dudes like, you know, Donald Glover, Kanye West. These dudes that everything they do is gold. You know, they try every field of art and they succeed. So it's like, of course, I want that. You know, I don't ever want to get stuck and tired. You know, like I don't ever want to think, I wish I could do this, but I'm too busy doing this. You know, I'm too busy. I'm stuck on one thing.
Do you have a preferred medium of art that you like to produce?
I guess just paintings, big paintings. You know, I mean, I do. That's where I feel most comfortable. I think I'm a better painter than a drawer. You know, like right now I'm doing a mural on my floor, and it's like 19 feet long, 4 feet tall, and it's like that's where I feel real. You know, right with the greater power. You know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When there's loud music and it's like I'm on the floor covered in paint. Like that's where I feel like myself. So I definitely think painting is where I'm stuck at right now, where I'm definitely got my head in.
You do mostly, like, canvas, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly big too. Yeah, always big.
That's cool.
So do you have some names of some artists that inspire the work that you do?
Oh yeah. I mean, I always say, you guys ever heard of Mark Rothko?
No.
I feel like I've heard of the name.
He's the dude that did in the 40s, 50s, the abstract expressionist era. He did those like just very minimal color blobs of color. You know, he did with lots of like thin paint, layering.
Yeah.
And so really they're all like that. Very minimal.
I've seen these.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
These are the ones that are the abstract of just kind of giant colors bordered up against each other.
Yeah.
It's really like what people might think are color studies, but what he did, and his whole thing was, you're missing the point if you say I like the colors you used in this. It's not about that. His philosophy of painting was creating a human experience. You know, making paintings based off of like the human drama, like Shakespeare shit of like, you know, tragedy, doom, ecstasy, that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so my paintings look nothing like Mark Rothko's. You know, my paintings are very chaotic. You know.
Yeah.
And I mean his are too, but they come across minimal. But I think the philosophy of what I do is 100% Mark Rothko. Like when I do heads and real expressive faces and stuff like that, they're always for the emotion. You know, it's rather than. I never want people to look at it and go, oh, like that's a head, or this is an angry face or something. It's like, it's not a face. There's no eyes. There's no nose. You see it, but it's about what that's telling you. It's what it's confronting you with. You know.
So
I mean,
yeah.
Well, when you say your paintings are chaotic, is that what you're trying to convey?
Yeah, I mean, I've really done all over the spectrum of emotions by now, and they seem to always be chaotic, you know, because I'm a pretty chaotic guy, you know. I mean, I think I live in turmoil a lot, you know, just emotional turmoil, you know, just because, I think a lot of people are kind of confused at this age.
19,
you know?
dude.
Yeah, 19, it's a weird time to be alive, you know,
Oh my
especially
God.
when you're, you know, when you don't have money when you're $5 negative, you know.
Yeah.
Well, where do you think that your emotional turmoil comes from?
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to make your podcast so dark all of a sudden,
Oh, no,
you
that's
know,
good.
but, you know, I really started painting about 2 years ago, in about September of 2016. So, and at that time, it was just a couple months after my stepdad died, and he was probably like the greatest dude I ever met. You know, like I have in my studio I have a bunch of posters of like, you know, Prince and James Dean and Jim Morrison. You know, fucking Charlie Parker. You know, like dudes a race car driver, Ayrton Senna, and like these are dudes that like I love, you know, and I they're all like young men, you know, or the pictures are. So it's like, I have a big picture of my stepdad, you know, because he just fits in that group of people I aspire to, you know, get on that level. So I mean, yeah, he died pretty suddenly, you know. We weren't expecting. We were supposed to get a big wedding, you know. I was gonna marry my mom in a couple months. So it was a tragedy, you know. I mean, changed my everything, changed the whole course of everything, and that happened like 2 weeks before I had to start my senior year.
Wow, sorry to hear that for real.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, I mean, it's hard every day, you know, but when I really stand back and look at it, you know, I've turned something really beautiful out of, you know, the worst thing that's ever happened, you know.
Yeah. And that was the inciting incident. After that, you felt the drive to paint.
Yeah, well, it was one of those things of just like, I remember I used to color, like, I used to get these like real like coloring books from like Urban Outfitters, like the weird ones, and because I was like therapeutic, you know. That's the whole thing, is you color for 30 minutes, you know, and like before you have to take a test, you do a bunch of coloring sheets, and that was really therapeutic. And then I was like, maybe I should just paint, you know. Maybe I should just actually move around color, you know, like pour it out and move it, like, and it felt really good. It was like this organic like release. So I mean,
now, were you in art classes before in high school, or did it go straight from color books to painting cold turkey after that event?
Pretty cold turkey. I mean, I think, I mean, I took art class. You know, I was always in the art building, you know, at Manatee, and just because that was kind of the place to be, you know. And I took a photography class. I took the 2D art class like twice, but I never took painting or ceramics or anything like that. And I really hated it when I was in it, you know? Like, it was just kind of weird just having somebody tell you, like, here's a project, and then you do it, and then you get, I don't know. I mean, I guess my problem is with, like, art education as a whole, of just, like, the gradings, of just treating it like school. I think art's much greater than the way the school system works. So it's, like, it kind of just doesn't work for me, like, sitting in an art class and doing somebody's project and this kind of shit. But, I mean, yeah, I never really took it. All the art that I did in those classes, I never thought was art. I never was like, oh, I'm an artist making this thing. It was all, and I never was really into art. Like, I never really was like reading art books, and as opposed to now, you know.
In those art classes, did you have any liberty to create what you wanted, or was it always like you need to meet these 5 points and turn in a project that incorporates this?
I mean, now if I was doing those projects, I think I have the, you know, creative freedom to make it my own, or make it really like, oh, this is a Divad Retasal art project that I'm turning in a class. Like, I could if I was the way who I am back then, but every time you got it, it was just like getting a, you know, like a English test or something, you know. It was like, it was the same thing as any other class. It was just like, you know, I'm just doing somebody's, you know, project.
So what was your, before you started to feel the drive to start doing art, what was your plan in life?
Man, absolutely nothing. I mean, I thought, I mean, all kinds of things at one point, you know, like you're a kid, you know, you think everything, but I never really had, I mean, at one point, I thought I was going to be a photographer. I was really into photography first. I thought I was going to be like a nature photographer.
Okay, so there's always been some interest in creating.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing is I look back, and my dad and my mom will tell me things like this of like, when I was a kid, like the way I played with toys and stuff is like how I make my paintings, you know, just like, I was real about it, you know, like if I had other kids playing with me and it was like, I didn't fuck with like them like making their like army dude fly and shit. I'm like, that shit can't fly, dude. You're fucking, that guy's a G.I. Joe, he doesn't fly. So it's like, I was real like, I always knew what I wanted to do, but I never really knew what the grand thing I wanted to do was until very recently.
You always knew what you wanted to do, yet you still had no fucking idea what you wanted to do?
Yeah, pretty much. That's like that.
Solid.
Yeah, that's like that. You guys listen to Suicidal Tendencies?
No.
Oh man, they got that one song, Institutionalized. I'm sure you heard it, but that's the one where he goes, I was just, you know, and he's like talking like about his like mom, or like his, I was like, this is about a troubled teenager, and he goes, I was sitting in my room, staring at the wall, thinking about nothing and thinking about everything at the same time. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's my shit, man.
Well, getting on like what you wanted to do you ever feel that what you're doing, it obviously people when you tell people you're an artist, they obviously you know what comes along with it, and I think that's shitty, but
you being an artist,
you being an artist, no, but like I'm saying, I think it's shitty that people think that way, but like you being an artist and saying that and the reaction, have you ever been like, well, do I need to be normalized? Like, what was ever, been that kind of thing?
Well,
for you,
I think I've always. I mean, I've never been like seriously in the art scene in New York and this kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been to New York 7 times. I was just there earlier this year. I mean, that's where I have to end up. As an artist.
Yeah.
So, and that's so like I can't say much on how good I am. I can't. I feel really hot when I'm going to like I just went to. I had a group show the other night. I went to in Tampa, and I felt like I'm the fucking king, Like I'm taking pictures. I got the 2 biggest paintings here, and they're small considering the painting we wanted to bring was too fucking big, and so like we had to bring 2 smaller ones. So like to see like my like just whatever, blowing away everybody's like little prints and drawings, and it's like I don't mean to be like a hothead, but I think I have a good enough reason to. So like. But at the same time, I've never been to like a serious New York like art show, so I don't. So like I know people are doing crazier shit than me.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, man. I feel good knowing that I've only been doing this for 2 years, and around me every time I've shown work or like seen other people's work, I've felt like, oh, I'm obviously stronger. I'm obviously more ambitious. I'm obviously on another wavelength. But I don't know how. So like I says, I haven't been out enough to really form a correct, state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the plan, right? There's
Absolutely.
no fallback.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, considering all of this really comes from my, my real hardest dark moments of like, this is it. This is this or nothing. So it's like. I always say, like, I love this shit so much that I'll die for it. I'd rather die with a great show than live to be 90 and, like, grow fat and people think I make hideous work, Like, that's the other thing. There's the one painter, Jean-Michel Basquiat, that, he died at 27 from, like, a heroin overdose. And people were like, oh, this is a tragedy, this Renaissance artist, this fucking, the newest Picasso. And it's like... It wasn't a tragedy, he died at his best. If he would have got old and made hideous work, then, that's a tragedy.
I love that like immortalized thing because they say that with like JFK as well and a lot of other people.
Yeah.
You never have to see him decay, and it's like that's so true.
Yeah.
The greatest people, you can't picture them being old and like
absolutely
senile.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny that because we have you on and you're very confident in what you want to do, and I like that's. So refreshing because normally we have people on and they're not super squares, but like very like college job, and they still don't know what they want to do. But you have like something where people are like, is that a real thing? And you're so solid, and I totally support that. The reason why I brought that up because I want to maybe make clothing in the future. Like that would be a job.
I see this. This shit's crazy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was like yesterday, but
this
I
the podcast T-shirt.
Yeah, I normally do prints, but when I tell people, they're like, everyone wants to do that, or it's like that's so like odd. Why would why don't you do the normal thing? But your confidence is like I said, refreshing. So
well, I mean,
really cool.
You should. I mean, if you really love what you do, you should live and die for it. You should know like this is it.
How do you find day-to-day inspiration?
Well, I get a lot of inspiration from like non-art things or things that I think are art too, but aren't conventionally art. Like I'll just be sitting outside and like looking at a flower, and I'm like, I'm so happy to be alive to look at this flower right now. Like I'll have like that kind of thing, and then I'll be like, let me go make a painting about that.
If I could just stop you on that. So sitting outside looking at a flower, do you find yourself searching for situations like that? Instead of staying at home and watching TV, you'll leave your phone at home and go drive out somewhere just to...
Get inspired.
Yeah. Well, I try to put myself in places where I know, okay, this is gonna like I can't wait to see the paintings that come after this event. You know, like we were just talking about Mark Rothko. I earlier this year I went to see his chapel because when he died, he's another dude that, I mean, he was in his 50s, but he died at his peak, you know, really. But these people approached him to do this project, and it was, they were going to build a specific building just for those paintings. Like they wanted his wet dream of what a real, you know, or what a real art experience should be. And so he worked on it for a while. As soon as it started being construction, it started going into construction, he killed himself. And so right now in Houston, it's basically his memorial site. And so we go, and it was life changing. I mean, enough that it took me so long to talk about it. Like, you just go and you walk in and you're confronted with these, you know, 20-foot tall, 50-foot long paintings, and you're just like you start weeping, you know, and it's like your body crying rather than you think about something sad and cry. Like, it's just so beyond moving, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's like after that, I was like, all right, I know what I want to do now.
Yeah. So when you were in that moment of inspiration, did you find yourself scrambling to catch ideas as they were popping into your head, or so if you said that it was in Houston?
Yeah.
So did you have to go there and then just keep thinking about it until you got home to paint it, or did you write ideas down?
I think I wrote some shit down, but it was one of those things of like, what could I write down? You know, it was like so moving beyond words. You know, like I couldn't, like, that's what it means. I couldn't talk about it just because I couldn't understand it. Like, I couldn't understand, why am I alive, and why do I know who Mark Rothko is, and why am I weeping in front of this painting right now? It's one of those things of just like you got to look at the whole experience rather than what's a specific idea. But I did make a playlist of most of it was Pet Sounds, that Beach Boys record from '66.
So good.
Wow. We made the first connection, boys. So I mean, I played most of Pet Sounds and some jazz shit and some like Afro funk shit, and it was and so like I still have that place, and I listen to that sometimes if I'm doing a specific painting, just because I had the big noise canceling headphones on and just like confronting all these paintings, like listening to this specific like album and everything.
You've obviously been to the New York museums, right?
Yeah, I've been to the MoMA, been to the Met, Guggenheim.
The same kind of feeling of leaving inspired. I went just for those museums over the Christmas break, and I was like, same thing. Not with painting, but I was like, I know I want to do clothing. You
went to the MoMA?
Both Met and the MoMA.
Wow, the MoMA's the best museum I've ever.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I went in 2017, and then I went earlier this year.
Yeah.
And completely I maybe saw like 3 paintings that I saw the last time, and I was just a year early. Yeah, like they completely change and like they have so many paintings in those archives, man. Yeah. Like that's to the point where I want to go every year just to see it. And like we happened to go there the first time right when they had the retrospective of Robert Rauschenberg, who's probably my favorite artist. Okay. So that was like.
Can you say his name again?
Robert Rauschenberg. He's the dude that he's like. There was Warhol, Rauschenberg, and Lichtenstein. Like, those were the pop artists. And he was really the weird one, because he's the dude that put a taxidermied goat in 1959. He got a taxidermied goat and put him on top of a painting and painted a tire and put the tire around the goat. Yeah, that kind of shit. Look up Monogram. That's the name of that goat. And we saw the fucking goat, dude.
Damn, that is awesome.
I was confronted with the goat.
That's crazy.
Oh, so this is a piece of 3D art right here.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing is like, and that's the other thing is he has paintings where like he puts a taxidermied crow coming out of the painting.
Wow. Where
it's like, it's one of the, like, as much as it was inspiring to go to those art museums, it's like also depressing. It's also like, man, I don't gotta fucking go to my studio. Like, what am I gonna do? It's like, or like if I ever watch like a really good movie, I'm like, man, I can't make films, you know. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, you have that thought of I will.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel like a lot of people feel that way. Just, I mean, not even with art, but with anything. You see someone who's so much further along in their career, and they've just got all this knowledge that came with time, and all the skill that came with time, and you could either doubt yourself now and be like, I'll fucking never get there, or you think, well, that person's 45, and I got a long way till then.
Time's a bitch, man.
I feel that way a lot about Jim Morrison. When I hear his, on that one album, American Prayer, when I hear all the words that he wrote and then his delivery as well, how perfectly everything comes together, and I just think about how hard it would be for me to make anything like that, because I look at the stuff that I write and the stuff that I make on the guitar, and it's like kindergarten compared to anything that Morrison makes.
It's so depressing at the beginning. But.
Well, I mean, yeah, I will definitely that album specifically. Well, I'm gonna do an album based off of that album. I want to do my poetry album. Like I have books and books of poems I did in high school, and like the first summer out of high school, of like being at my brother's like private beach on the fucking longboat, walking up like a fucking sand gypsy, writing poems and
That's
stuff.
awesome. Yeah.
So I was like, I have all these poems that I want to record my voice on one of these, and then I have a synthesizer, just have weird interludes of me just playing noises.
Yeah.
And like just burn CDs and hand them out, just picture me like that on it, like
That's
it's just
awesome.
weird. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How often do you write?
I not enough, I mean, because maybe it's because I don't read nearly at all, but I do shit like this, like I write little like sentences and stuff, or names for paintings, and I put in my notes in my phone, and then I turn them into like a T-shirt, and like these are, I mean, this is my personal one, but like plain white T-shirts, I've kind of capitalized on that at this point. A lot of people are wearing my Right Now T-shirts, just plain white tee that just says Right Now.
Damn.
And do you keep a journal at all?
Yeah. I mean, I keep. I like these little This is one specific notebook, like memo book from Walgreens. I always get the yellow one, and I have those journals I was saying I was doing in high school. I did. I call them the Book of Divad, and I did Book of Divad Volume 1. I think I'm on Volume 6 now.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's like, and they're all just poems and sketches for paintings and shit.
We're going again?
Yeah, we're going again.
All right. So you're on Book of Divad 6 now.
Yeah, 5 or 6, I don't remember, but yeah.
And they are mostly poems?
Mostly poems. Yeah, little like ideas for paintings. That's a really cool little thing to look at a complete like mural or something, like a big painting, and be like, wow, it came from this little stupid thing I wrote, in like English class in my fucking thing.
Did you? So, I know that I have a bunch of books when I come up with ideas. I got one where I just record things that happen to me. Another one where I write down ideas that I have. Another one that I write down slightly different ideas that don't fit in the same category. Mm-hmm. Do you find that you have a hard time? Do you have multiple books where you put your ideas? Multiple places where you put your ideas?
I mean, I guess I disrespected myself to bring up the Book of Divad because I haven't written it in a long time, Like, here I am talking about it, and I don't know, something about these days, I have all this shit just going in my head, and I'd rather just take it from the head and put it raw, just directly. But at the same time, that might be me saying I'm running out of ideas. But I don't know, man.
Are you ever scared for, like, a block?
Yeah, I mean, I panic every time I finish a painting, especially when it's really good, because I'm like, what am I going to do after this? Like, but then I find myself kind of, not reinventing myself, but definitely doing weird things and, like, trying different things. Like, I just I just painted the Clorox logo in my painting, and that's one of the first times I ever brought pop into my work, I have a very expressionist kind of style, and now in the middle of it, you just see this hand-painted Clorox logo. And it's like, that was for the idea of, I mean, really the philosophy of pop art is this, of just you, whether it's you or like my 90-year-old grandma, that you both look at that and go, oh, that's the Clorox logo. Mm-hmm. But like everything else I paint, you just go, I don't really know what this is. It's a weird head. It's a bucket hanging here. I don't understand what you're trying to do. But everybody knows what the Clorox logo looks like.
Yeah, I like how your entry into the pop world is Clorox bleach.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like it says, I work at Publix. I see it all the time. I stock the Clorox,
Which Publix do you work at?
The Manatee right here.
Okay.
Not the 75th one, the one by the high school.
Do you find that the times in between paintings and the times in between creative bouts, you're looking for inspiration or trying to put yourself in inspiration's way?
I don't know.
You ever just do weird shit just for the sake of the experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't really look for inspiration that often. It kind of just comes, I guess. I kind of rely on my imagination a lot. I rely on the same imagination I was born with, like how I used to play with toys, that kind of imagination, just I can always just make something weird and make something that's going to make someone scratch their head. So it's like that makes me feel safe knowing that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, are you saying that your kind of creative drive comes from your inner weirdness rather than the weirdness of the outer world.
Yeah. I mean, I guess both, but yeah, definitely. I mean, the reason why abstract expressionism, the 50s, the 40s kind of art is my favorite because I think it's the first time art ever did what it was supposed to do. Like the paintings were, instead of looking to nature for the like landscapes and shit, these dudes looked at themselves and went, wow, I'm really like depressed, and you make this big gestural dark black painting and you feel better. You feel like you got it out. So it's like that's really, I feel like good art should be direct and expressionist, but I don't know, I also love the really alienating stuff.
What about like surrealism?
I never really was a surreal, like I've been to the Dali Museum. I like Dali, but it's definitely not my kind of thing. I mean, I guess maybe some of my stuff is surreal, but it's just so like loose, and the way I paint, just the way I kind of try and keep it raw and throw around the paint to keep it more urgent. So I think surreal is a little more precise, too precise for me.
Yeah, definitely.
When you say about something more abstract, more expressionless, looking depressing, I've seen some pretty depressing landscape. I mean, not landscapes though. I mean, I mean, I can't point out anything specifically, but you have some kind of dark forest or something, the Scream. Yeah, that's a depressing one too.
Or just open water paintings just seem really like isolating and like scary to be alone, like with big water. So it's like, I there's definitely, very classical kind of paintings that do give off some kind of emotional experience, but that's the thing, is they're kind of vaguely giving it off rather than start to finish it's about this experience, and it's like the idea is to convey it rather than to show you this lake or whatever. It's like real abstract art is it's the intent is to just show nothing but that one feeling, and so that's what I mean. Is like I don't think landscape kind of stuff doesn't do that.
It's to the punch, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's very direct.
Landscape, it's sort of putting yourself in the shoes of the person there. I know that I was on after I got out of work the other day, I was down in Sarasota, and it's cloudy in the afternoon all the time, but this was one afternoon that it was really sunny, and I went out to the beach, and there was nobody there because it's red tide.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm looking out at these giant pillar clouds over the Gulf, and I'm thinking about it, and then there's the beach grass that you see on Lido.
Yeah.
I see the little hills of green beach grass and the white sand and everything, and I literally felt like I was in a painting. One of those just dime a dozen beach paintings.
Yeah.
But I thought the artist probably sat right here in this bench as he's doing this, and so I suppose landscape and more real stuff like that, it's the artist going, look what I was, look what I experienced, and imagine how you would feel if I was here.
Yeah.
Well, but that's external.
It's like impression.
Yeah, impressionism.
Yeah, that's really. I don't know. I like both. I do like the surrealist movement, not necessarily Dali, more some like Italian guys, but I think that it's more of like, in my opinion, when people do the impressionist stuff, it's how did they paint such, like, it looks so real.
Yeah.
I think with more abstract things, which I find more interesting, it's why is this making me feel this way, or like how am I connecting with this? Because there's like you don't really know exactly what's going on, but it like brings out emotions, or you like connect to it in a certain way, or it speaks to you a certain way. So yeah, definitely abstract stuff is cool. I want to see some of your stuff eventually. I wish I would have gone to your little thing that one time.
Oh yeah,
it sounds like cool stuff.
Well, I wish I would have told you to brought something here. We could have just broke it down.
Dude,
well,
I was
makes
so
huge
close
stuff too,
man. I was
yeah,
so
just
close.
bring the 18-foot one.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is I was looking at the ones that are like, this is actually possible to bring, but it's like, I don't know, that'd be kind of weird to show up with your own painting. But
no, I think it would be cool.
What do you think that moving to New York is going to bring you artistically?
Oh man, it's going to bring me freedom, liberation as a human. Because I want to move to New York, right? I don't want to go and be like, let me starve and be kind of homeless, vaguely homeless for years. You know, I don't want to do that.
Abstractly homeless.
Yeah. I don't like. I want to be able to be like, all right, when I get there, here's my spot. I'm gonna start painting. A few months are gonna go. I'm gonna have a show. Like, I want it to feel safe, but I know. So like, I know if all the things are lined up perfect, it's gonna be. I mean, I don't think I could be ignored in a scene like that. Like in a thriving scene where everyone's just looking for someone, you know, that pleads revolutionary ideas. And I mean, I don't think I'm that crazy. I don't think I'm that far ahead yet, but if I was given the chance to, like if I was given like people to be like, all right, go, you know, like here's a painting, impress us, you know, or like here's canvas and paint, impress us. Like if I was given that and like I'm in New York and I'm, you know, people are watching me paint, like that's when the best work will come out, you know, when I'm under pressure.
What's like the most expensive painting you sold of your own?
Well, I mean,
or the most money you've made, or is it like pretty?
That's the thing is I never go for the money, because if I did, I would never sell a painting. But you guys know Mr. Brooms from in that show, that December 9, 2016 show, I showed a painting called The Quintet, and it was just like 5 heads and 5 instruments, like a trumpet, sax, drums, bass, and a piano next to 5 heads with like splatter and whatever, green painting. And a lot of people were bidding on it. Like it was kind of like a silent auction kind of thing. I had a dude keeping track, and Mr. Brooms ended up dropping 100 that night on that one painting, on this stupid little painting I did in 5 minutes.
That's crazy.
And I'm sure, and if you go to his class right now, it's hanging.
That's crazy.
And I mean, when I graduated, it was rough. So like, I haven't been ready to revisit that. But when I do, I'm gonna bring him another one, because he's a G, man.
How prolific are you? How many paintings do you think you turn out a month or in a year?
Oh wow. Well, that's hard to say, but I think it'd be easier to say like if I just bought a roll of canvas and I just bought a thing of like a lot of paint, in a week I could do 7 paintings.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That must be a big time commitment every day.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I do, you know. All like I said, is I live and die for this. Like, whenever I'm not at Publix or not, you know, doing something that is out of my control, I'm in my studio painting, you know, listening to music, getting high. It's what I live for, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's all I care about. So I mean, it doesn't make sense to do anything else, you know. Like, I don't have anything else to do.
So you must not procrastinate.
Well, I think I do, but my version of procrastinating is like, I'm really hard on myself. So I mean, I know, you know, kids that consider themselves artists that haven't made a drawing in a year, and it's like that's what I worry about. Like I don't ever want to end up like that, you know, of like I'm still an artist, but I haven't touched a paintbrush yet, and it's like. It's like they want to live the artist lifestyle without doing it. Yeah, or the artist mindset, I suppose. Or they people that want to be an artist and don't know art. That's the most common thing I see. Kids going to Ringling that think they like art and can't understand why Picasso is Picasso. You know? Are they saying they just don't appreciate him, or they have a different take on it? Well, no, I guess they don't appreciate it, or they don't get why it's so crazy. I mean, Picasso's a bad example. More like somebody like Jackson Pollock that's so avant-garde, or like something that's so weird that it's like you don't get that this guy had as much precision as Picasso did, and it's like splattered paint, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Pollocks are cool. Like, his painting is really cool. They had a great one at the moment. Yeah. How long do you see it taking you to get to New York? 3 years tops. 3 years? 4 years. That's a crazy thing to say, but I feel like at this rate, it kind of makes sense. I mean, in 2021, I mean, I'm not trying to put this on the airwaves, but this is an exclusive. You know, my dad doesn't even know this. That me and my mom, me, my mom, my brother, are kind of talking about living in Europe, living in France or Portugal or Spain or something in the year 2021, just for the experience, just for the life-altering experience. Pick Portugal. You think so? That's what we're actually thinking. I'm Portuguese. So, really? Yeah. You can stay in my house there. Dude, really, yeah. Portugal it is. That would be crazy. You stay in the house, paint in the house as well, and then you pay your rent. You sell half the paintings go to me. You get to keep the other half. Yeah, sure, dude. But we could run. Oh man,
You know, because I want to live in Portugal too, and we could totally knock down that house and just build a gallery right there.
That's what I'm saying. Is wherever I go in Europe for that year, I'm having a show at the end. That's already the plan.
I would love that if you went to Portugal, because all the time, so I look at American painters,
Yeah.
and he's not the most, weird artist, but I really do like Norman Rockwell paintings.
Yeah.
And I literally wrote it down yesterday how much I wished Norman Rockwell would have just taken a vacation to Portugal once, because I would have loved to see his take on it, because I know Portugal so well from being there so much, and I don't know, I just really like the country. And then I just because I see how Norman Rockwell did America, and I need to go on the internet, or I need one of my cousins to tell me some painter who was the Portuguese Norman Rockwell, just so I could see, Lisbon and Cascais in 1950.
Yeah.
Because I see it today in his Airbnbs and German people walking around.
So you go a lot?
Yeah, almost every year.
Wow, dude. I mean, it sounds great, and I think we were reading there's even that was, I'm pretty sure it was Portugal, that was the cheapest place to live for a year.
Yeah.
It's popping right now, dude, and it's my mom's Dominican, our family's from the Dominican Republic on my mom's side, and my dad just looks like Adam Payne. But so I'm an American kid. That's the thing, is we're talking about living in South France and shit, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll do it. Yeah, I'm cultured, I'm cool. When you get there and it's these are a bunch of baguettes, dude. I don't know what a baguette is. I'm just I like Funyuns, dude. I'm just an American kid. I like Funyuns and jazz, dude. Yeah. I'm the most American as it gets.
Have you learned Spanish?
I tried, and I that's the one thing I feel guilt for.
One thing? Everything else is golden.
Yeah.
Just my Spanish isn't that key.
Serious guilt. I mean, but yeah, I mean, well, because my my grandma doesn't speak English. I mean now she's at the point where she's really demented, so it's she's not that all put there, but so now I kind of miss my chance. But if I would have spoken Spanish, I always think I missed out on so many just intellectual conversations with my grandma, because I was just and I was in Spanish class and I was but I mean, that's the thing, is they put me in Spanish when I shouldn't have been there.
I really regret not learning Portuguese earlier, because the last time I was over there, so my grandpa, he died I think in 2014, and he lived in Portugal, and he was extremely smart. Not that how old was that? 15-year-old me could have ever understood.
Yeah.
But he had so many books published, and he was more in a political science kind of intelligent, not really art area, but he had so many books published, and he had memoirs, and he had pages and pages and pages of stuff written, and just his whole theory on how the government should work in Portuguese politics. And I never talked to him at all about it. First off, because I was too stupid back then, but also I didn't speak Portuguese. And then now I just recently kind of improved my skills a lot. And last time I was over there, I'm reading all the books and all the correspondences and all the letters that he sent.
Wow,
and I'm just kicking myself every day, because I never had a chance to talk to him about it before I got my head on straight. Not saying it's on straight now, but...
No, I know what you mean, man. It's rough. I think I'll learn Spanish before I die, which is a crazy thing to say, but I'm saying it.
Yeah, it's out there now.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Learn Portuguese. It's close enough.
Yeah. I love Brazil.
I wanted to ask you, when you're in New York, do you think that... So, not even going to... I'm going to bring it up, but not even going to bother saying, oh, you're going to New York. You are going to New York.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Are you worried that you're going to be part of the art crowd? I mean, you're obviously going to be part of the art crowd, but not standing out among the creators.
I don't see myself letting it happen, That's
Okay.
what I mean. Because I'll go to New York, for a week and a half, just because a Florida kid just going to New York, and I bring spray paint or oil pastel, and I'm doing graffiti, and on the subway. And the last time I actually did graffiti, I went back to Florida, and 3 people took pictures and tagged my Retasal page on it, and it was and I was there for a week. So I see myself, trying my best to do a Keith Haring kind of I'm here, look at me kind of thing of I want to be the greatest artist of this generation. And here's my shit I just put on the wall. I think I like what I do now of just like passing out T-shirts that say my poems on them and shit like that, or like I'm having a show and I don't really care about if I make the profit or anything. Like I'm having a show because I want people to know I live and die for this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can't imagine that's what I do in Bradenton, Florida. Like imagine what I'm doing in Manhattan or in Soho.
Yeah, I love Soho. Soho's so cool.
How'd you pay for your trip to Texas to see that one museum? Just saved up money?
My mom, dude.
Oh.
I go with my mom, bro. I don't even drive, dude. I'm a child, man.
When you get to New York, are you hoping to finance it just from art right from the get-go, or are you going to work at Applebee's?
I mean,
you did say the right way, and I wanted to get into that when you meant like the right way. You said you want to go.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing is like I don't want to go and struggle severely, but then again, that kind of sounds dope, but it's really not. So I shouldn't have romantic feelings about being abstractly homeless, as you put it. So I think when I have a lot of money saved and I have a fire under my ass, and I do think I'm old enough, and and I have my head on straight, and I'm not dealing with emotions, like that gets too much in the way, of like reality. So it's like once I get, that's what I mean. It's like that's the right way of like I have a clear head, I know what I'm doing, and I have a good enough amount of money to back myself. But then again, I would definitely just get a job wherever, like because I see like I do that here, and it's like, but it is hard. Like sometimes I'll be at Publix, and I see somebody like with their shopping cart up to here, and I gotta put all the shit in bags, and I'm looking like, man, like my English teacher bought a painting for 100 bones, and here I am,
Yeah.
like I don't know, man. Like every time I go to like a real like art thing, like just that last group show, like it ends up all being like, oh, this is the guy with the painting, So it's like I see. So it's hard, like having to do that and then go to work the next day. But that's just because I'm stubborn. I gotta know, like I'm 19, like people like Mark Rothko worked as like a dude, just like as like somebody's dad, for like 30 years, and then became Mark Rothko. So it's like I don't know, man. But then there's the thing of urgency in my, I have a real sense of urgency of like I don't think I'm gonna die young, but I feel some instinct, some reason to pick up, like just move, of like. Because I maybe it's just because I see it happen, but I don't know.
Even if you don't die young, time is still ticking. Even if
Yeah,
you got old.
Yeah. The shit's short enough. If you 90 years is still nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you working on anything right now?
Yeah, I'm working on that mural, and that's about halfway there, and that's maybe this is a segue to bring up the gallery on Longboat.
Yeah, definitely.
Because this is it, boys.
Yeah.
The mural was started there. So the gallery was the Longboat Gallery, on Longboat Key. My brother lives out on Longboat Key, works at the Wells Fargo on the island. So he was just coming home from work one day, and he sees a sign that says Longboat Gallery, and he was like an art gallery, like it says fine art, antiques, and whatever. And so he's like, Jesus Christ, there's an art gallery opening 2 minutes from my house. And then so a few days go by, and he sees, grand opening. So he goes in. I should probably say my brother's a painter too, not this guy.
Okay.
That's not my brother. This is just
not
a good
this guy.
Yeah, he's a good friend, but he's like my brother.
Yeah.
So, my brother has lots of paintings just like me. So he goes and says I'm the only painter working on Longboat Key, the only serious painter working on Longboat Key. And he says, I live 2 minutes away. 2 minutes away. You want to come see my paintings? And the guy's name, the owner, his name was Mike. This guy, and he's he's just like he's a very rich guy. He just like a salesman. I think he just sold some shit and made a lot of money one day. And
as one does.
Yeah. And he's kind of been collecting art for 30 years, but art like he doesn't really have an eye for art. But at the time, it was very optimistic because we just were like, oh, this is an art gallery. We have a chance to work in an art gallery. So we go, and so my brother goes, and next thing you know, that night, my brother had 7 paintings hanging there.
Wow.
So, like, that was a real, like, I remember him calling me, and, like, I was being like, well, like, this is it, this is the freedom I've been waiting for. And so the more, this is all over the span, like, from start to finish. How long do you think, Adam? How long do you think we were there? Like, a couple months, 3 months?
Um, probably 3 months.
Yeah,
I
like
think the
this-
first year he wasn't there.
Oh yeah, basically. So like, about over the span of 3 months, all this happened, and so, so like a couple nights go by, and me and my mom go out to meet this guy Mike and see my brother's paintings, and I went, I'm a painter too, and all this, and it became established very quickly that we were going to be the artists in residence. This is our spot. Like he told us that a lot of other, like I says, like kids that go to Ringling that just show up with like drawing, or they don't even show up with anything, just say, yeah, I'm an artist too, maybe I can bring something, yeah, and then don't, and then my brother is someone that just goes, I have some paint, I'm a painter too, I'm the only good painter on Longboat Key, you want to come see my paintings, and then put 7 murals in the thing, so it's like, so it was very established, very quickly that this was going to be us, and so next thing you know, we have the keys, and him included. It was me, my brother, and Adam, and we all had a key, and so me and my brother were the painters, and this man was kind of all the other shit of framing the paintings, if we got to clean some shit up, I don't know, and so that was it, and we were all, and it started to become more established that the pay was 300 bones each every week just to be there, because he would just leave and just show up whenever, and this guy would just go to Connecticut just for no reason and just be gone for a month, and we had the key. We were going every day, every Saturday I would go and just paint all day, and so it was like it. I thought it was like, this is, and so we set a date. September 30th was the Divad Retasal grand open. Like this is the grand opening of the gallery. And my first serious show, like that Latte Luna show, that's just bunko, man. Especially now, those were these small paintings. Like, I don't have a space that I could fit all my shit in now. Like, I have probably 60 paintings, full, like complete, like good paintings, and like, I don't know, seven sculptures or something. And it's like I have all these things, and I have an incredible body of work, and I had this opportunity to show it, and then it just kind of declined very quickly. There was that a week leading up to where we had to walk out was, he was just kind of just coming in, he was an alcoholic, just coming in belligerent drunk and just kind of getting in the way, of what we were doing. And
the owner?
Yeah, Mike. And it was just kind of becoming really, and it was really hard for it was getting hard on my brother, because he was kind of taking all of his shit, and then where I was like, we should kind of not rock this boat, we're getting paid 300 bones a week just to be here. My show is September 30th. And then the more days went by, and then it was like, okay, we're going to have this show and get the fuck out of here. Like, after, like, my painting's been up for a month, and we leave. And it turned out we showed up one day, the three of us, and one of my brother's paintings that Mike himself said, this is a $2,500 painting, no more. I mean, no less. And he took it off the wall to do something.
To take down the wall.
Yeah, he took down this weird structured wall we made, and so he took the painting off of it, and instead of like putting it somewhere specific, he just leaned it up against a corner, like this.
Oh, wow.
And so like imagine a canvas like that, so it turned to like a fucking circus tent.
So
like
he leaned it against the corner of a table.
Yeah, something like that.
Not in the corner of a room.
No. And so it left a huge indent in the painting, and my brother, and it was like my brother's best work too. It wasn't like just a new painting, and so I remember seeing that and just being so disgusted of just like someone that is saying that they run an art gallery, says something that they know something about art, and then they do this, and then so he comes in an hour later, and he says, hey, what's going on? Real drunk, and we don't say anything. We don't greet him, and then my brother just walks up and says, listen, man, you really disrespected me. You ruined, what you said, my great painting. And he was like, oh, I did. No, I didn't. And he looks like, oh, I'm sorry. But like that kind of thing of, oh, forget about it. And at that moment, it became very clear very quickly that this is someone that doesn't respect what we do, doesn't really understand what we do, to the point where they're like, you should be kissing my ass right now. Like, I'm the one paying you 300 bones, and you're putting all your paintings in my thing. You should, like, if I do something like this, you should never not bring it up. You should, and he was saying, like, I don't care what's going on. When I come in, you have to greet me. Like he's some kind of Roman king that we have to suck his dick when he comes in the room. So that was very quickly, and then so he's like, and so there became an argument between my brother and him, And then it just turned into, he was like, what are you gonna do? And my brother just looked at me and Adam was like, we're done, we're done, we're walking out. And then, yeah, and then it ended with him going, all right, fuck you, have a great life. And he says, you can get all this shit out of here. I said, you know what? I said, well, yeah, we'll get a U-Haul or whatever. He said, you know what? I'll bring my Honda over here and go ahead, try to get all this shit out of there.
I want to get this guy on the podcast.
Yeah,
sounds equally fun.
I mean, Jesus. But he goes, so he brings the fucking Honda, and we deconstructed this gallery that's like half the size of a Publix.
Wow.
We deconstructed all of this shit and put it in the thing one trip after the next, and brought it over to my brother's house. And he showed up the next morning. It was like the Grinch stole Christmas, dog. You know?
Oh, he showed up that night.
Oh yeah, he showed up
I
that
drove
night.
past it. He was at the bar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the
So,
thing.
sure.
Is he? Oh yeah, every time he would come out, he would leave and then come back, and every time he was like yelling at it, like he's just saying stupid things. Like he just kept saying over and over again, "You motherfucked me. You motherfucked me." That was the phrase. You motherfucked me. Yeah, because we didn't suck his dick when he came in. You motherfucked me.
This guy's really just on sex, isn't he?
Yeah.
Motherfucking.
And he comes in. Oh, every time he would come in, he would just get drink. Like he would get drunk, or every time he got angry, he'd go pour more. So it's just like, obviously this is a man declining, someone that doesn't know art, trying to run an art gallery. And so it's like, it's better to walk out now than to have my show and him walking around saying, look what I did.
Yeah.
That
would have happened probably.
Yeah. So right now, all my shit, and I made a lot of work.
That's what I was gonna say. What do you do with it? Just keep it?
We made a lot of work there because there was just this natural energy that we developed in there of, this is Warhol's factory, like we come in, we smoke a joint, we make 3 paintings in a day, we leave, come back, we finish, we do another one, make a sculpture, people are coming by, it was very moving very quickly. So in 3 months we made a lot of stuff. So my studio is packed right now with this big door that I painted and all this shit. So it's right now we're in the stage of what am I going to do now? Right now I'm kind of getting my head together after all that. Like, what does that even mean? Why did that happen?
Oh, so that was just recent.
Oh yeah, this is, I don't know, when did it end? Yeah, we get high. I mean, a month, not even.
Oh, okay.
So, and it was a tragedy, I was so stoked,
It had to have been just kind of a little bit of a taste of the dream, a little bit.
Of course, it was a tragedy when we lost, and I was actually thinking about kissing his ass for a moment. I was like, should I actually kiss this guy's ass?
Yeah.
Take my 300 bones and keep trying to fucking have this show, and it just wasn't gonna work,
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I
what
don't know. Do you still think you should have?
Oh
Maybe,
yeah.
You're probably gonna have to do some ass kissing in New York.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is it becomes quickly recognized, oh, this is the guy that doesn't kiss ass. This is the guy that wears a T-shirt that says fucking, I want to feel liberated, and walks in a room and says, I'm what you want in this gallery, People like that kind of thing, and when you can back it up, and I think we can.
Well, I think a confident artist is not what I was getting at before. It's not really a thing usually.
Yeah.
So your confidence can kind of be taken as a really, really big plus.
Well, I'm sure people show you guys their work sometimes and go, oh, this isn't anything good, or this isn't this or that. They hand it to you saying it's shit.
Yeah, it's weird.
That baffles me. What are you doing showing somebody's a painting and you're shitting on yourself? Let them do that. You don't need to do that.
Well, I don't know. I could see why people do that, because
Yeah.
they don't want to seem like they think they're shit. They think they're the shit.
Yeah.
Because people just hate when you think you're the shit.
Yeah.
I kind of like it when people think they're the shit and they're the shit.
I obviously.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
Dude.
Dali, he was the shit, and he thought he was the shit.
Yeah, he knew.
And that was amazing.
So is Picasso. He was
yeah.
He was the Kanye of 1930.
Kanye's great too. He thinks he's shit and he is shit.
Yeah.
But then there's Big Sean, who sucks, and
But
he still thinks he's the shit.
Yeah, well, exactly. It works for some
Big
people.
Sean.
It works for some people. So
There's a subreddit that I went on once called Delusional Artists, which was, I don't know, it's tough to see because you can really appreciate someone's confidence for putting something out there, but then it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's just the gamble you take as an artist.
Yeah.
Because your art can obviously serve you well just looking at it, but it's not going to do any good for the world sitting in your garage.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I always say there is such thing as good and bad art, and I really do, because I I feel so sure. And I mean, I've only really been focusing on art for a couple of years, so like I say, I'm a little too, whatever. But good art is supposed to do something. It's supposed to communicate. I don't care if it's if it's pop art, impressionism, any kind of shit. You're supposed to offer something and have someone leave with something. Like you can't like if you just look at a painting of like just a girl in some water, it's just a girl in some water. There's nothing, and you're asked to make all these. It's kind of the problem with minimal arts a lot of the time of you're asked to do all of the work. There's nothing being offered other than this. But so I think bad art leaves you alienated. Bad art leaves you. Why am I here? What makes this art? Like bad art makes you like question it. Good art makes you go, wow, this something's being said here. I'm not ready to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it on another, I think, 1 or 2 podcasts ago, how what really gets us about paintings and a lot of kinds of art is you see, take Guernica, for example.
Yeah.
Guernica, you see that painting, and there's so much in it to understand that you could spend an hour looking at it, just trying to unpack it. But it's that way with every painting of one artist and a bunch of different artists. They had this image in their head, and this is how they best manifested it. And I find that what I really take away when I look at paintings or any kind of art, or especially lyrics and songs, you think about the headspace of that person, just where they were in their life when they came up with that, and this is how they chose to bring those experiences, those feelings to us.
Yeah.
And that's where I find myself going. That's the explanation I find I'm giving myself every time that I look at paintings. Like, Guernica's an easy one to understand, because it's an event like that. But that there's a lot of Picasso ones, like the one of the women.
Oh yeah.
The one it's got the.
Oh, the one, yeah. I saw it.
What's that one called?
Monsieur Laurent or something like that.
the 4 prostitutes.
Yeah. The women in Brussels or yeah.
I just love the whole process that it takes because of Picasso waking up or that idea coming the kernel to him, and then he had to go to the strip club to find them.
Yeah. Well, he actually made like 300 drawings before he made that painting, and he actually I remember I read something about that that man spent and he did that when he was like 23 or 24. Really? Or maybe younger.
I always had this idea of Picasso being some old fucking guy.
Oh, but man, that's the thing is he was. Like his dad was a painter, and when his dad saw his first his son's first self-portrait or something, threw away every painting he had that was in his studio and gave all of his brushes, all of his paints to his son and said, "You're a better painter than I'll ever be."
Did he actually throw them away?
Absolutely.
He actually took his life's work after one painting from his kid and threw it all away.
He went Francis Bacon. You know Francis Bacon?
No.
Oh, he's the dude that did all. I don't know. He's cool guy, but British painter, and he was famous, or I guess notorious for destroying his paintings. Like he would spend 2 years on something and say this will never be what I want it to be, and rip it, and then he would throw it away, and people would go and it was garbage cans and take the destroyed paintings because this is Francis Bacon. So it's that's something that he would send assistants to go to a specific spot to burn this painting. So it's I remember hearing an interview of one of those assistants that was I cried every time I had to do it, because it's this is a painting I'd like to have for myself, and here I am putting fucking kerosene on this guy that just sold a painting for $200,000.
Well, I just read a story about Dali. Warhol went to somewhere in New York to give him a painting, one of his soup cans or something really important, and Dali didn't say anything. He just undid his pants and peed on it.
Oh.
And Warhol was so thankful he did it. It was so weird. Yeah.
Man, that's the craziest sentence I've ever heard in my life.
Isn't that crazy?
Those crazy art stories. For burning your paintings, peeing on your paintings, that's the stuff that only makes sense to the artist, and it's ultimately important to them that this painting cannot exist. But just us commoners, here on Earth, looking up at the sky like that, we're why would they do that? But only those crazy people understand. But you got to be crazy to make that good art.
I'd be stoked if Dali pissed on one of my works.
Exactly, it was the same thing. It just makes sense.
He had that much of a reaction to be he's my dick.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so cool though.
I wonder with Dali, was that just some animal urge that he just gave into immediately, or did he think, well, I'm Dali, I could just do this?
He said it was just like a YouTube video, but they said that he did not like his paintings. He just thought he was a bad painter, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like Dali had that opinion of there are good and bad artists.
Oh yeah, and that's I mean, I haven't looked at nearly enough painting to say I know what's good and bad. But I have an opinion in 2018 of what I love, and I love art, but I hate art that doesn't work, and I see a lot of it.
What's something just outside of art or in art or just in general that you really don't like? Like, what's something that bothers you?
There's this guy called Kalen Schwab. He's this Canadian guy who's very popular right now. He's killing it, and I actually followed him on it. Yeah, pull up his Instagram.
What's his name?
Yeah,
Kalen Schwab with a C-A-L-L-E-N Schwab, and he's the dude that he developed. I followed him for a long time, and I was like, wow, this guy's on the cutting edge. That's what I first thought of him, and he's a dude that builds like all kinds of.
Spheres?
Yeah, well, all kinds of apparatuses and weird shit, and spinning things to throw the paint on it and watch it form itself.
Oh,
and that's one of those things. Is like, see, there you go. Yeah, pull up the video. Oh, yeah, there you go. See, it's like he does shit like that. Swinging troughs. He has a bicycle thing where he just spins the painting, and sometimes he'll get one of those big buckets of paint, just poke a hole in the bottom and start flinging it, so you just get this spirograph kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's like. At first, I was like, wow, this guy's really doing something. And then the more you follow him, you're just like, this guy's just flinging paint every single time. Like,
yeah. I mean, they're just like different colors a little bit.
And some of them are really great. Like, they really work.
Wow,
but then some of them are just, I don't know, man.
I mean, they look cool. I'm not
I don't hate them.
Like, this one looks amazing.
Now that we're looking at it, I'm realizing I really don't hate this guy.
Yeah.
But...
You would just
Here's
hope...
the thing is he's been doing this for so fucking long and he refuses to do anything else.
Yeah.
Or he does the ones where I got really tired of the ones where he does the swinging trough where he just does one stroke and that like one fling and that's it. Like the ones where he spends like that one like developing for months and months. Like that's some shit, but just one stroke it just looks so
You see that he does it in front of a crowd all the time and that kind of takes away from it.
Yeah,
It's more like a show.
Yeah, he definitely turns it into a show, which is
You would think this guy. So this is very well. This is literally just throwing paint around onto a spinning disc that I suppose doubles as a canvas. Yeah. I wonder what they said about Pollock though, as he was doing his stuff.
Man, they hate him. Like I was just talking about Francis Bacon. He couldn't stand Mark Rothko. Couldn't stand. Well, Picasso specifically hated every American painter ever.
Picasso hated every American painter ever.
Every American painter.
Prick.
I mean, he hated American art. And
did he ever go to America?
Oh, yeah. He's got his... Oh, man, in Chicago, he's got this great sculpture that's, like, the size of this building, you know?
That's so European. I hate American art.
Oh, yeah, he's very... And like, that's the thing. And that's crazy to, like, thinking you like, wow, I really disagree with Picasso on art. It's like, wow. Do I really know what I'm talking about? But then it's like, these are really important. Like, someone like Jackson Pollock... He really knew what he was doing. Like he didn't just fling paint. Like he had a focus and a real sense of composition. Like it looks like a mess, but then when you live with it, you realize this man calculated every time he threw paint. And there's some where he would do portraits. He would just like use a stick and just pour paint, and he would make these portraits like full heads with expressions, and he would never touch the canvas. Like that's true. Like that's an amazing talent to me. So to like Francis Bacon to look at a Pollock and go, it looks like old lace. Like it looks like like a piece of shit, or like it's just weird, But I guess they're just European.
Yeah.
There's a very classical sense in Europe of what paintings look like. I think.
Well, that is true. When you look at the most famous Europeans and the most famous Americans, I mean, we have Basquiat, Pollock, and Andy Warhol, and they've got Rembrandt, Van Gogh, and Picasso.
Yeah.
There's just such a different aesthetic to the American stuff.
Well, yeah, I think you could definitely say there's more European artists that have done great shit than North American. I don't know, but even that's a hard sentence to swallow.
It's crazy how there's no, literally, I mean, to the average person, and me and Anthony both know more about art than the average person, there are no famous South American or African or Asian artists.
Yeah, like world renowned. Yeah, you're right. But
Kind of odd, but
there definitely are, but you're right. They're not. There's no
Like
Van
the
Gogh.
heavy
There's
hitters.
no
Yeah.
African Van Gogh. There's no Asian.
no big leaguers.
Dali.
no major league artists, which is kind of odd. Yeah.
I also wonder how popular are English language authors in other countries. Like J.K. Rowling is obviously very popular, and Harry Potter is translated into everything.
Yeah.
But I wonder, like the big hitters that we have, like Shakespeare and all of them, they must just not matter at all in France or other places. They must every country must have their own kind of Shakespeare, or every language at least must have their big heavy hitter authors. It's hard to be a world famous author, you know. I mean, we do have some foreign books that are really popular here, like War and Peace and all those Russian guys, and some French books too. But I wonder if it goes the other way. I mean, because there's got to be some guy who lives in the Central African Republic who's a fucking wizard as a writer, but he just doesn't get
mean
out there.
Shit to me because I can't read it. You know.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but that's how it goes.
I wonder, it must also be our culture for how we appreciate art, because here in America we live in a derivative of a European culture, and we appreciate all these European artists, you know. Maybe, you know, it is I mean, I don't know, if you live in Africa, if you live in just a certain area with not a whole lot of access to the outside world, the best artist in that area must be the best artist ever as far as you're concerned.
Yeah.
You know, the Picasso of southwestern Zambia.
Yeah.
We were talking about it before, like he and I, just kind of like before the podcast, and it was his thing, but I think it's a good question. How would you? I guess you wouldn't feel anything, but just the thought of like going out, like kind of like a Van Gogh, of you're not really known until you're dead. Like, what would that?
I mean, that'd definitely be tragic. I mean, it definitely would. I don't think anybody wants to be a part of a generation that, you know, neglects a Van Gogh, but.
Ooh, he's putting it on us.
I mean, yeah, in a way.
It does make sense because we're the interpreters.
There's actually a brilliant Van Gogh biopic about to come out starring the Green Goblin, cuz.
Wow.
You know, William Dafoe,
Yeah.
the Green Goblin.
The
as,
actual Green
Goblin.
Goblin.
The Green Goblin as Van Gogh.
I didn't
dude.
know they're doing the Van Gogh thing.
It's the guy, Julian Schnabel, is a painter who's also a filmmaker. He did the Basquiat film in 1996, and he's doing this one now. He's done other films too, but it's gonna be really great, I'm sure. And it's called At Eternity's Gate, which is that painting of Van Gogh of a guy like this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based about it's only on his last years, because his last 2 years. He made so many paintings, dude. For someone that no one gave a fuck about his paintings,
Yeah.
he made so many.
I know it's an urban myth, but I can't remember which one is the last one. But you know that last Van Gogh painting of the birds flying over the field?
Yeah.
I saw that one at the Van Gogh Museum.
Oh, you went to the Van Gogh Museum?
Where is that?
It's
Amsterdam,
in Amsterdam.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the other thing, we're thinking about going to Amsterdam for that year too, but
Doing both.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like we could just live wherever, and then we're there for a year, just vacation on your vacation.
Mm-hmm.
What is that going to be? One more week at Publix for the next 100 years?
Yeah. Man, it's rough. I don't like. That's the thing. Is like my mom is like, yeah, we should really start getting a plan because we got to save a lot of money, but to do that, if I'm not gonna work and all this, and it's like, every time I think about it, I'm like, that shit is not possible, dude. Not until I met your Portuguese plan, dude.
Yeah, well, you're set now.
Yeah,
Problem solved.
straight.
Yeah,
No,
oh
you're
man, mom's
fine.
gonna be stoked.
We're not even there half the time. That's straight up real estate that you can use. You know what? We use a lot of rooms in that house too. We can Airbnb one of them, and then that's even more income right there.
Oh yeah.
You see, artists never want to think about the finances, and they shouldn't, because they should just be focused on the art.
Yeah.
And so it should be there. I bet there is a guy who was Picasso's banker or his financer.
Yeah.
Someone who just handled all the boring shit, all the paperwork for him.
Absolutely.
You need that. You're gonna,
Oh,
it's
I
not
know.
gonna be me, but you're gonna find
yeah,
that.
yeah. I need one of those so bad, dude. I mean, that was a great about having this man at the gallery. yeah. Just because he was framing paintings and just being like, yeah, help me hold this real quick. I don't know. It's just like having another dude. It's like it just works with someone next to you to help you.
An assistant.
Yeah, an
Yeah.
assistant. Yeah, that's the word that I was about to say.
You said that at that gallery you were turning out 3 paintings a day. Is that... Have you ever thought about moving to a kind of a place where you'd spend maybe a month on a painting?
I have, especially early on, done one painting and looked at it for a month and then made it a completely different painting.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the thing about like Francis Bacon would just destroy it. I just paint it white again, or just leave some of what you like, and so I mean I have spent a lot of time on work, but I don't want to because because I don't have the patience, but mostly because it eliminates the sense of urgency. I like when you look at my paintings, you can see every stroke, you can see how it was made, and you can also see that I poured myself into it and then framed it and put it in front of you. With like we were talking about like real landscape, like art by Rolf kind of shit, like that kind of stuff is really just.
Ooh, shots fired.
Oh yeah, I'll get it on record, dude. I've been firing shots for years, but no, I'm sure he's a great guy. I mean, I don't know him, but
I do.
hate
He
him.
is.
Yeah. He seems really nice. I hate his paintings though.
That's all right.
But yeah, like you can tell like this guy really spent a lot of time on this one painting, and that it bores me. It doesn't. I like knowing that it's just like film and music. I like hearing and seeing shit that came out of thin air, and then it's in front of you right there, and you don't really. There's not really much to question about the process because that doesn't matter anymore because you're confronted with this emotion.
Well, it's a loaded question, but how do you know when you're done?
Yeah, that's a great question.
'Cause there's creative endeavors I do, and I'm like always like I need to like redo, edit and stuff like that.
Well, it must be when you well, tell me if I'm wrong, but when you feel that explosive creative energy run out, because it seems like these just come in fits of art.
Yeah, I mean, I make it out to be a real dramatic thing. It's not that. I mean, I paint like a painter, but I mean, I think it was Pollock that asked him that, and he was like, "Well, how do you know when you're finished making love?"
When you nut.
I mean, that's what I thought, but then it's like, don't you always go for round 2?
No, what?
Oh man, that shit.
What?
I thought I was dealing with a couple of barbarians here. But anyway, I think.
Listen, there ain't no energy left for round 2.
Oh yeah. You should work all day for that one nut. I feel it, but I mean, I think I'm done when I feel like it does what or until it impresses me, until it makes me feel that emotion that I want someone else to feel, and it's hard, but I always get there.
Is it you have the emotion in your head, and then once that reflects back at you from the canvas? Is that when it's done?
Yeah, I think. And sometimes the painting tells me something I didn't know about myself. Like sometimes I'm learning from myself kind of thing. So like a lot of the times I do it and then realize, oh, this is what I was feeling. So like that's where the therapy comes in. Of I don't want to go to I don't want to go to a psychiatrist. I want to make a painting and then look at it and realize, oh wow, that's because I was feeling this a week ago and I didn't understand why I felt that way, but now I do. Mm-hmm. So it's something more like that, I think.
So you look back at them.
Yeah. And I think once I just see myself in the painting, really. Once I just see the full spectrum of pure ecstasy and pure tragedy at the same time, like one followed by the other. It's like that Kanye, the most beautiful thoughts are always followed by the darkest.
Yep. That was a pretty cool album, I think. Very very like.
Yeah, what'd you think about it?
I really like that album. I don't like the middle parts.
Yeah, there's one song that just kind of feels dull. But
how do you feel about trap music?
I hate most of it.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah, just because most of it's just not tolerable for me. I just can't handle it. But then every once in a while, like it'll surprise people when I do play it, but it's always because it's this one guy that like have you ever heard of Playboy Cardi?
I like Playboy Cardi a lot.
Playboy Cardi, dude, he sounds like Waluigi.
Yeah,
he's like, and he goes, "Bee,
Yeah.
on the beat. You
His
know, like
ad-libs
he's
are
fucking
weird.
crazy.
Yeah.
And he's from Harlem, and he sounds like he's from like nowhere. Like you can't like if somebody if you told him he's from Harlem, like it doesn't make sense. But I like him a lot because he sounds. You can tell the subtle differences between everybody else, and like that Amine guy, you guys know him?
Yeah.
He just put out that record. He's really you can tell he has a real artful approach to this one trap sound, you know, and sometimes you'll listen to it and it's like he's sampling like it sounds like indie rock with a trap beat over it, which is really new. So like there's always somebody that doing something good in trap, but I can't handle most of it.
What do you usually listen to?
Oh man,
Do you have a lot of? Do you find yourself going to a lot of weird music or a lot of stuff that a lot of people haven't heard of?
Yeah, I think it's I don't like doing that because I want to have these things where I get to talk about it, but I notice it a lot of like, oh, have you heard this? Have you heard that? No one's ever heard it, but I love everything. I mean, I'm a big jazz guy. I'm a big hip hop fan. I think hip hop, you know, I know enough about the whole progression of hip hop, like how I know about jazz, and I like every subgenre of rock. You know, I love punk rock and, you know, early forms mostly. I hate pop punk, but, you know, and I love, like, I listen to a lot of French music, and a lot, but, you know, a lot of, like, Afro funk, you know, like.
You ever get into bossa nova?
A little bit, yeah.
It's going to be good for you when you're in Lisbon.
Oh, yeah, it's great shit. It's always just feels like the sun, you know, like you're listening to something from the sun.
You listen to Kamasi Washington ever?
Yeah. He's the only dude doing it, man. He's John Coltrane these days. It's him, Christian Scott, Tunde Adjua, you know, maybe Thundercat, and like Robert Glasper. That's the only, and like Bad Not Good. Like those are the only like true jazz artists these days. So I fuck with it.
I didn't even know Bad Not Good was jazz. I always see.
Oh wow, that's cool, man.
It's cool that I didn't know.
Yeah, because they're so like fusion-y that you can't really tell.
Yeah.
I mean, this man saw Bad Not Good.
Miami.
Yeah. I mean, he's seen everybody. This man saw Death Grips.
You saw Death Grips?
He saw Death Grips on Substances.
Oh, yeah. First time.
Oh, yeah.
You are one of the few people I know who's a Death Grips fan.
Really? And here's the thing. I'm really not. I
Get the fuck out.
I am, but I'm not. Because a real true Death Grips fan, or a true definition of a fan, is someone that fucks with all of it. And I do fuck with all of it, but there's moments where I'm like, I need to listen to fucking Hustle Bones and be like this, and you know, like there's times where I'm like, this is what I need, and then there's other times where it's just like, I can't do it while I'm just sitting here, you know. But
well, it hurts me that you say that's what the definition of a fan is, because then I'm a fan of nobody.
Oh yeah. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe maybe the definition of a fan in like 1977. That's what it was then. You know,
when you had the album, so you had to listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to Death Grips every day all the time.
Oh yeah. Okay, never mind. Then I am a fan.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but Death Grips, and then when I hear songs that try to go hard but don't go as hard as Death Grips, it's like it doesn't do it for me anymore. It's like seeing True Green and then seeing green that's got, you know, some different colors in it. That's not as pure as you want it to be.
You showed me Death Grips, and it definitely goes really hard, but I also hear that kind of like people try to go hard now, and it's like kind of very electronic, washed up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like a lot of the new sound, especially in hip hop.
You like the new Death Grips record?
Not as much as I like Ex-Military. Not as much as I like.
That's what that man hit me with. I fucking loved it. That
the new
black
one?
paint, yeah.
Black paint's good. I agree.
Black paint flies. Vomit meat flies. Shit's crazy. I wrote that on a T-shirt once.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I didn't like that one as much. I mean, there were songs I liked. I don't think there's a whole lot of albums I like the whole way through.
Oh yeah. Well, let me propose this to everybody in the room. When I say favorite album, what's one of the first ones you think of?
By them specifically?
No, any artist ever. Like,
jeez.
That's too
and I mean, that's the thing is I always like you can't really say one. That's why I say the first one that you think of. You know, like one of the 10,000.
Well, we were just talking about Death Grips, and I love Ex-Military. So.
Yes. Oh man, Ex-Military.
You ever listen to Nicholas Har?
No.
You should get into him, man. I think you would love him.
Sounds like it would.
I almost want to say that it's his album that's my favorite right now, or favorite right now. One of my all-time favorites.
Oh man, I'm seeing your shit. I mean, half of that shit's in mine, you know.
He's this Chilean American producer, and he makes the craziest stuff. I've listened to it while I was high before. Well, I mean, so many times, and every time I just hear some other, glass breaking or turning of cogs I didn't hear the first time around. And I just think about how long it would take to make any of this. You ever listen to Igloo Ghost?
Don't think so. No.
He's another guy just like that.
You
I gotta
guys-
show you
yeah, you gotta
after
say
this
yes,
done.
yeah,
I
yeah.
show you these guys. As well, I think the best song ever made, because I think it might be an easier question for me. The best song ever made.
That seems tough.
I know, that seems like
10
that seems
times
so
over.
much harder.
Break On Through to the Other Side by The Doors.
Wow. He's out.
I just put that on a playlist, dude. That was I started to play. I made a playlist for this girl, and that's how you start it.
There's no way that I could hit the notes that Jim does, but I try every time as hard as I
the
can.
energy in
It's
every
just
part of
so-
that song is
You
like
can
you
just
feel
tell
it.
this is a man that wrote those words and feels everything about
Oh
those
my
words.
God.
It's like,
I've been waking up at 6 a.m. recently, and I'm not lying, 6 a.m. days in a row, and then go to bed at like 1, no sleep. That is the first thing I play on the way to the gym, and I feel energized the rest of the day.
I learned to play that on the keys just because
Really?
like the little bass part, the doom doom. I had to do it.
I know how to play the guitar part.
Well, next time we jam,
yeah, you guys.
we know what's going on. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so much fun.
What about? I mean, I think. I don't know about the best song ever made, but I know some albums that I really love all the way through. Like we talked about Pet Sounds.
Oh yeah,
that shit changed. Yeah, that changed
that
music.
shit is insane for music.
Yeah. Really proud moment in music. I really love. You guys like Tame Impala?
Yeah.
Currents and Lonerism.
Currents is cool.
Yeah, I mean those albums changed the way I listen to music. Kind of Blue, Miles Davis.
I like Led Zeppelin 4, and
yeah.
it's super basic. I'm sorry, but Blonde was like amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's one of those ones that you keep listening to, and it doesn't get old.
and I
Yeah.
can listen to most of the songs, if not, I mean, basically all of them. That's what like a good album you should be able to listen to all the way through, and that's how I feel it is. So.
What do you guys think what's your earliest memory of like hearing a song or an album or an artist and being like, holy shit, this is what it's about? Like your first time you ever were like, wow, this beats everything I ever heard.
Man, that's tough, because you know how you could just kind of bop along to a song, and there's a lot of songs that are just for bopping along to it.
Yeah. Chugging along.
That came on very slowly for me, really slow, and it evolving process continuing today. When it's like the 5th time that you've heard a song and you're not doing anything else but listening to it,
Yeah.
and you still feel like I can listen to this song 3 more times and it would still be something new each time.
Yeah.
That comes on days, because there's days where you don't want to listen to music,
Oh man, not me, man.
I
It
think
hasn't been one day for me.
I like to listen to it. More recently, I've been thinking I shouldn't, just because I don't know. I listen to a lot of the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
But you guys know a lot of like especially him, and now I'm realizing a lot of people know a lot of just like super low key artists. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
how.
This guy sounds
Where,
crazy.
where do you guys
Some of that
like
genre.
find? Where do you guys find your music?
Pitchfork? Use Pitchfork ever?
No. I think I would I don't remember, but for some reason I think we were supposed to boycott Pitchfork.
That was a Brockhampton thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's possible. Maybe I saw it from there, but
I
don't
found
know,
a
they
lot
just-
of good stuff on
They
Pitchfork.
put out like stink pieces sometimes that are just like, all right, it's a little BuzzFeedy for me, but
BuzzFeedy.
yeah, but I do a lot of. I mean, some of the best shit I've found just like on Apple Music. When you scroll down, it says if you like this, you might like that.
Yeah.
Like that's happened to me a lot, of course, but samples mostly. Samples.
Yeah, samples
yeah,
is a good
samples
way to
is
go.
When
really
you, when you watch some DJ play all the samples and it's like, let me look this shit up right now, and then it takes you down a
YouTube.
whole nother road.
YouTube's a good way to get it too. There's this one channel called Amoeba. It's some record store in LA.
Yeah, what's it all the time?
They do this one, What's in My Bag.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I've
found
seen that.
so
Yeah.
much great stuff from that.
Oh,
Eric
I watched-
Andre, he put me on to flamenco. And
Oh yeah, dude.
yeah.
Hey, you really on that flamenco stuff.
I gotta
Have
get
you?
onto that.
Have you?
You've been making me want to like. You talk about it like almost every. You
I
mentioned
have-
it. That.
We just gotta go. As soon as it's done, all of us just sit in the car just
Yeah.
together, because there's this one flamenco song called "Soy Fragueo" or something, and the guy is screaming as loud as he can. But then it's not regular flamenco guitar. They got that next level flamenco guitar going on, and it's a 6-minute song, so it just keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's good.
Yeah.
YouTube's a really good way to get it, and
Of
especially
course.
if you've already listened to something that's maybe not as heavy, but you just kind of like, it'll give you other similar artists. There's a lot of shit on YouTube too.
You have YouTube Red though, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So that doesn't
Little
do it.
high.
It doesn't do it for
Yeah.
me necessarily, but
Anthony Fantano.
Oh, my boy, my melon.
Yeah.
That's my man.
My melon.
Yeah, I love that dude, man.
Have you noticed on YouTube, or there's a lot of bands that are indie bands that are just all kind of doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot
I
of
mean, it sucks that there's an indie sound ever. You know, 'cause it should just be like the new,
there's a lot of 4 white guys in a band trying to sound like Mac
like
DeMarco.
very lo-fi, kind
Yeah.
of detuned almost.
Yeah, I think indie using that term as a sound is really depressing just because independent music, like if you go to the source of it, it should be labeled that off of the way it's brought up, came about, you know, like this guy made this in his bedroom.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about Tame Impala. Lonerism is the most independent album I can ever think of. My man took the picture. Kevin Parker took the picture of the album cover in France. He wrote, recorded, and performed everything, and mastered the shit himself. Like, there's like 2 dudes touched it, and then he gave it to the record company. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's independent music.
I've been thinking of something lately. How you can have modern music that's got a lot of layers. Say you're listening to a producer or something, or pop music today sounds very glossy, and there's no space for silence, and it's full of sound and so many different instruments playing together. And there could be really good songs that have a lot of instruments going on. You know, I mean, there's good pop songs today, but also producers that I like where there's so much going on and there's so many sounds.
Mm.
And then there's also the kind of music that is so bare bones. Sometimes it's literally just a guy and a guitar,
Yeah.
or even just a cappella is good too.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference between kind of done up computerized music or bare bones kind of acoustic music?
I do get bored easily with like just a guy and a guitar, but that's usually because they're not that great at songwriting. Like I love a dude and a guitar that's really really good written songs. Like so like it varies, and like it's weird for me to get bored at music because I've listened to a lot of classical. Like there's been times in my life where I only listen to like bebop and like 40s jazz.
I love bebop.
Yeah, like there's been times where it's like this is the only thing I care. Like senior year specifically, like that was the first time I ever was like, let me listen to Miles Davis. Like, and I remember I had to make up a class in one of those where you have all the computers in that one room and you have to make up a class online.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one where I showed up every day, but I just sat there and I got into a new jazz record every day. And like instead of doing my work, I was like, oh, who's this Charles Mingus guy? And who's this, Dizzy Gillespie?
As a history nut, I always get caught up in the time period and the place that stuff was made.
Yeah.
Just today, I was listening to, I don't know how I got into it, but it was blues music from early period. I was listening to 1910 stuff, and I was listening to the shitty recordings and stuff. And I was listening to this one song where they're singing about going back to Chicago, and I can enjoy the music, but I also just think of the day that they recorded that song. You know, they walked in off the street from 1910 Chicago into the recording studio, and then they left that night and just hung out with their friends.
Yeah.
And I just, like the time and the place influenced the music so much, and I'm just hearing the entire collection of this person's experience in this one song,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a looking glass into the past.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of tagged, at least in my mind, as an older music, so it has that kind of appeal. Like I'm listening to older music,
Yeah.
and it's obviously the sound, but I just mean like it's like I'm clearly listening to older music, and it has every convention of older music. But what it must have felt like at the time, like putting in whatever, I guess, a record at the time, and being like, this is that new shit.
Yeah.
Like this is like whatever kind of new album you just listened to. It felt like that to some kid in the house in 1910, but it feels so old and so different, so conventional now.
I think maybe the latest record to come out that blew me away. like 10 out of 10 was that Kids See Ghosts, that Kanye and
It's pretty
Kid
good.
Cudi.
Yeah.
You thought Kids See Ghosts was 10 out of 10?
It's 10 out of 10, my dude.
I'm a big Cudi fan, like huge Cudi fan.
Really?
So, yeah.
I think he really fell off until this.
Yeah, he definitely made worse music.
That Speeding Bullet to Heaven, that's like, I think Anthony Fantano literally gave that a 0 out of 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so bad. He tried to use too much electronic.
Like he just he put out like incomplete shitty songs, like not even like, let me have this complete shitty idea. He was like, let me go half-ass on a shitty idea and put that out.
I like Indica.
Yeah.
But like, that was like, I don't know. He
I'm
was
not
still
that
got
much of a Kid Cudi fan.
Me neither, but
I'm a big Cudi fan.
I didn't think Kids See Ghosts was that good.
really, why not?
It sounded kind of jokey sometimes.
Really, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you gotta live with it some more. But at first, it took me 2 times to hear it and like really be like, this is actually really crazy. But I think it's maybe I just have this kind of. I mean, at this point in my life, I love Kanye West as much as I love Miles Davis, which is a crazy thing for me to say because, you know, I really love Miles, and Miles is probably the most like true artist in jazz. But Kanye's done so much great shit, and just the fact that he has a mental breakdown and in a month records 5 albums, like 7 songs for, like, he made 35 finished masterpieces, you know?
Yeah.
And did one for him and Kid Cudi, one for Tiana Taylor, one for Nas, and one for Pusha T.
That Pusha T album was good. I like that one.
Yeah.
Good.
I really like what Kanye is doing with these short albums because I think
Yeah.
it makes for a better album. Because
Yeah.
you take something that's 15 songs long and it can't be a great album because there's too much to be variable.
Yeah, and it's so much harder to swallow. It takes so much more to realize, wow, this is some shit I'm
Yeah,
listening to.
7 songs is the perfect
Yeah.
length for an album.
It's a special number.
I agree.
It's not a snack, but it's not a feast.
Yeah. Feel that.
I wanted to show you this picture. You guys both. This right here is the first picture ever taken.
Oh, cool.
It's-
Wow, I think I have seen this.
This is in France. And then this is the first photo of a human being, I think also in France. You see that guy down there?
Yeah.
Wow.
And these are, compared to today's standards,
Wait, hold on. You're telling me this is the first
this is the first photographed human being right there.
like, wait, we go back. Look at how like great of a composition that is. Like,
Yeah, there's
what
some
were the
serious
chances
depth
that the
and
second
stuff.
photo ever was
Just
like an actually great photo?
yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that one kind of sucks.
This one sucks,
one's
but it's
shitty.
the first one.
Yeah.
Well,
I
what is
think
that
this-
right there? I thought that was a guy.
I think
at
that's
first.
the sunlight going out into a field.
Yeah, there's no depth there. There's depth there.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Man, that's a crazy thing to just show people, man. you're onto some
Wait,
shit.
so yeah, what are you getting with that?
so these are, I mean, we'll put them up. We'll edit them in so that people can see it.
Yeah.
These are shitty photos by today's standards. If I showed you this photo and said this was taken yesterday, you'd be like, that is a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's old, it's interesting to us.
Kind of was getting up the song.
Oh, absolutely.
With the
Absolutely.
1910 stuff.
And
Yeah.
that's what I hope that does not take away from my enjoyment of the art, because I'm like, oh wow, this is so cool that it's old.
Yeah.
I like that it's old, and I like looking back and stuff, but I would hope that I could just appreciate it for what it is.
I definitely deal with that a lot. Of like, am I liking this shit just because it's impressive of like a human, like a thing, you know, rather than is this actually good art? But I'm like that with history too. Like I love, like just knowing that, oh, this album came out in '79, and like, you know, the same like 2 weeks after this album, and this guy played on this one. Like I'm real like that about music. Of like I think I got up till the '90s of every year from 1960 to 1990. I made a playlist for my favorite shit from that year.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think the best is 76, 77, and it took me to make all those playlists to realize those are the 2 greatest years for music.
Wait, so it's each year is 10 songs?
No,
what
well,
did
I
you
mean,
say?
77 has like the year of 1977 playlist has like 30 songs or something. That's just because I love the most, like most of my music that I love ended up being from 77 or 76. Those ended up being the longest ones, and like, I mean, just I think 70s was a really great time for every genre because jazz was really getting weird for the first time. I mean, it really got weird up until before then, but like to put like bringing electronic instruments into jazz into the 70s.
That's when the synths started to come around.
Yeah,
heavy, you know?
and that's when they were like, let's make
stuff.
a jazz funk album. Let's make a jazz pop album. Like let's
Are you into Daft Punk?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Legends, for real.
Legends. French legends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pouring out.
What was I gonna say?
Well, if you don't have something to say, I want to ask a question again, because like you have a good taste in my opinion, but you have I can understand your taste. What is something you like really don't like outside of art? Like what's something, a type of person? Like what's something you just don't fuck with?
Well, I
Rolf.
mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, you did mention that. So.
Well, I mean, I never actually had a conversation with that man, and I really love to talk about art one day with him, but he's got his dick in olive oil right now, I bet, huh? Like, you know, he's got.
Yeah, you know how those Italians are.
This guy lives in Italy, right? He's going to school in Italy.
Yeah.
This man's going to art school in Italy with his dick in olive oil.
We went to like elementary school together, and like he is a super nice kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely does different art than you, like totally different.
Yeah, and it's not
different process. Like
it's not like
sure.
just because it's so different I don't like it. It's
no, I know
just
that's not how.
No, yeah, but anyway, I don't like. I mean, I guess it happens with like dating people. You realize these things like characteristics in people of I'm not compatible with someone that has a shitty taste in music, and it sucks that I have to be like that, but it's the truth, man.
Yeah.
Like I can't deal with someone listening to the same, or like someone that just doesn't care about me, like someone that's like okay with playing the same radio station every day and driving to work. Yeah. Like that just scares me, and like
as long as you're not talking about 92.5 Latino hits, I agree.
I was thinking about 107.3 The Eagle. That's it. Like, oh, that's what I was saying. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna come back to this.
Okay.
But when we were talking about my first memory of music, I remember hearing "Stairway to Heaven."
Yeah.
The whole start to finish on the Eagle when I was really young.
Yeah.
Like it was either that or some Elton John shit my dad played. That was the first shit I was like, what am I actually? What? This is some shit. Like,
yeah, that.
Like, I remember hearing "Stairway to Heaven" being like, all right. This is
five-year-old you. This is some shit right here.
Yeah, this is what music is about, dude.
You ever get into parquet courts?
I gotta leave the room again, dude. Have you heard the new record?
It's so good.
I think that I don't know if I like it more than The Kids See Ghosts, but that might be album of the year, dog.
It's so good.
It's so
Wait,
good.
Who is it?
Parquet Courts.
If I'm playing anything in the car on the way home, I'm gonna play that.
Oh my god, dude. It's just so. I mean, I was never really like a Parquet Courts fan until this, and then now looking back, it makes everything great. But I mean, I always had listened like the last few records I liked, but never really. I thought they were okay. But this is just like it's so animalistic and so like tribal and rhythm based, and like it's just these dudes from Brooklyn and shit. I mean, I guess they're from Texas, but like Brooklyn based. So like it's got that real like post punk kind of thing.
It makes me appreciate the speed in the music so much
because
I've looked up what they do on the ultimatetabs.com, and it's the same few power chords just moving around, but the way that the fucking speed that they do it at.
It's that lead dude, that Andrew Savage. First of all, his name is Andrew Savage.
Yeah.
Let's take a minute for that.
Close Adam Savage.
Yeah.
Mythbusters.
Oh man.
Another one.
Yeah. Shit. But.
Do you know he's an artist too?
Oh really?
I just looked at a YouTube video of him today, and he's got some studio in Brooklyn. He designed all the artwork for the album covers.
Wow.
It made me feel really shitty about myself because I can't do anything.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so like, yeah, like shit I don't like. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, well, like, you know, you date people and you're just like, you just realize I can't compat with somebody that is okay with shitty music, or someone really, I guess that's an extension of someone that's uncomfortable with them, somebody that is uncomfortable with themselves or doesn't know themselves, and that's the root of it. I can't. My close friends or girls I try to date are never someone that isn't comfortable with themselves.
Yeah. And
it's just because I don't think it's healthy to surround yourself with someone that's like so unsure.
Yeah.
And it's like I get that people are young and everything, but it's like it's not that hard to be okay with being you know? I mean, yeah, it is very hard. It's just
you would hate the people we have on this podcast.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Well, we have.
Well, I listened to one. First of all, I thought you should be a comic because I heard this one of I don't remember the girl's name, but I heard when she was talking about like moving to Australia or something, and you go, she goes, yeah, I just love Australia. It's like a whole other species, and you go, well, first of all, that's really fucking racist that you said that, but continue. Oh my god. should be a comic, dude. You ever thought about that?
We went to an open mic night one time.
Oh, we're
Oh
missing
my
open mic
God.
right
Oh
now.
yeah, it is Wednesday. Is it today? Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday night.
Oh,
every
man.
night.
Fuck you, dude. Why'd you bring us in here?
Yeah, I
Your
should've
fault.
said that.
Just trying to grind.
Yeah. I think about it. Just how I think about a lot of things, you know?
yeah.
It would be fun.
That's what the whole like novice thing is about. That's why like it's about just kind of like I'm not a art kid or like a science kid or whatever. You just kind of do whatever you feel like doing, and there's just kind of trying new things. And
You know, when you think about being a comic or doing anything like that, even the lowest effort stuff still takes so much skill, you know? Like when you see big comics on Netflix and you watch them, you think, "Oh yeah, I could do that." And then if you actually tried to sit down and write a joke, they have so much finesse in everything that they do.
Yeah.
And I even think that way, even though I dislike trap music, they're still out there doing it, and they're still, it takes a certain level of skill to even get past the bar.
Yeah.
To get out there and start doing something like that. Same way, a lot of people think, I'm not, in no way am I saying that I'm an expert in the area, but there's a lot of people who think that they can be writers, but then you read someone who's a really good writer, there's just some magic going on here that takes years to develop.
Oh, yeah.
all the arts people are like, it's anyone can do it, but there is something that sets you apart, and it's not something you can just.
It's hard.
Practice.
What it is hard to pin down.
Yeah, exactly. Like I couldn't tell you, but there is a difference, and it bothers me when people think it's not a real thing. It's probably the most realist thing, the arts. I think it's an expression of everything.
It's like artistic glow that just comes through.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think that glow is misplaced. For example, unpopular opinions, Mona Lisa. I don't think it's that good.
Yeah.
I think it's overhyped.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people think it's good just because they're told that it's good, and it's been hyped for so long.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the same time, I haven't seen it in person, so.
I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It still wasn't. Oh, yeah, it's pretty small.
Small.
And they got that shit. They
Huge
got
crowd of American people standing in front of it.
And they got it so behind like 3 glasses and all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is something about her eyes. I've always, even as a young kid, I looked at them like she's kind of saying something, but then once you kind of put it in the context of everything else that's ever been done, it's like Da Vinci's done crazier shit.
Yeah.
For sure on that one.
But
Just in general.
you guys,
The Last Supper is good. The Last Supper is better than that
I
one.
just mean like some of his other just contraptions and stuff.
yeah, they made the helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Da Vinci was someone, you see, because you would worry, so you said that you had a lot of artistic interests and a lot of places where you like to put your creativity. You would worry about, well, I don't want to split half my time between making this painting and half my time between making this album, because then instead of having one good thing, I'll have 2 bad things, you know?
Yeah.
Da Vinci took that dilemma and just said, well, I'll just give 100% to everything all the time. And he did so much cool stuff without sacrificing in other places. Or maybe he did sacrifice. Maybe Mona Lisa would have been fucking worth it if he just wasn't inventing shit all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, man.
I also was gonna ask you, when you go to like the art shows and stuff, I am not in that community, obviously, but I can kind of tell when people are like just trying hard. Like you can kind of tell probably if people are just trying hard, like they're just tryhards and like doing it for like they're not really artists. You know?
Oh, okay,
They're just kinda like
doing it for the fashion of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely a lot. I mean, I wouldn't have known about a lot of this kind of art community thing going on in St. Pete, Tampa, if it wasn't for this man. That's Adam Stain for the listeners.
Adam Stain.
But he, like I'm going to, these like DIY shows, concerts of kids that are my age, our age, playing music just because they fucking love music, not because someone's paying them or they're getting this. They're coming because they want to have this experience with 50 people in a record store in somebody's garage of like, I wrote this shit in my bedroom and here it is in front of you. And that's the way I like to make paintings. So like it's so like that's why up until recently I've been with this man going to these kind of things, and you meet, like, I'm realizing that there's people kind of congregate, like there's, as much as there are people that do it for the fashion, there's people that really love this shit, and especially, I mean, with the music thing, but and the art's a little more like visual art's a little more hard to come across someone that's really ambitious. But I just sat with that group show that I was just at. You know, I met this girl and I saw her painting. And at first I was like, I saw everybody's and I was just kind of okay, whatever. And then I looked. It took me a couple times to look at it, and it blew me away. It was this, and it's just this stark painting, like blank canvas with. And it was a self-portrait show, so this is her, like her self-portrait of just her body, you know, like just a certain crop of her body, and it's like, it's crazy. Like it was just so like alienating, yet so like, it's just so beautiful, just in the way of the simplicity. And I just look at it, and it's like something I can never do, and yet it works. Like it works for me. So it's like when you meet, and then you talk to that girl, and you're like, this is a, you know, like this is a kid somebody that's my age, you know, and you realize this is just a person, just like me, and then, you know, when you meet a few of those, it's like, you feel more included. You feel like you're doing something right, because there's other people that are doing the same, and then at the same time you feel ahead of people because you're ambitious.
So the art scene in St. Pete, what is that comprised of mostly? Just galleries and bars and coffee shops and bookstores?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I don't know enough about it at all, but I have been to like that St. Pete art walk and shit, and I thought it was just bunko, you know. I thought it was a bunch of baloney until I went to this one gallery, and it was this lady putting like bike tubes and fucking paintings and doing like Robert Rauschenberg type shit of just finding shit off the street and turning it into a masterpiece. Mm-hmm. And so like, and then you walk in and you're like, who's the artist? And it was like this old lady with a cane, and it's just like, that's just some lady just showing her painting like on this art walk thing. So it's like there's definitely people doing, you know, really raw, interesting shit everywhere, but it's the putting yourself out there that's hard to come across. And I mean, a lot of people are doing it, but I mean, maybe not enough, you know.
Every time we hear one of these pauses, it's just we all got so much to think about.
I know.
Just everything that's been said.
Yeah.
And I've got my next two questions lined up, and I forget the first one.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Basquiat.
Oh, really? Yeah, all right.
Would I be correct to say that he's an influence on you?
Yeah, but not the biggest.
Not the biggest.
And it's hard to say, it's hard to believe just because my work. I agree that it looks a lot like his, but it's very and that's usually like this girl that I was just talking about. This first thing she was like, "You ever heard of Jean-Michel Basquiat?" And I was like, "Yeah."
You ever heard of him?
Yeah. So it's like one of those things of like, you know, you just like it's everyone mentions it to me, and so like. And I've only had like 2 small shows, so it's like, what is it going to be like when I'm in New York having my first solo, and people come and say, oh, the new Basquiat, and all this shit, this brown kid just like Basquiat, who's really young and ambitious, making this really expressive work, like and there's so many parallels, but I love Basquiat because it's the shit that my shit looked like his. That's why I loved it. It's because like I was like, this is what I want. This is why I like this, because like my shit's coming out like this. Mm-hmm. It was more of like. And, like, he wasn't the first... Like, I got into Jackson Pollock. It was the first artist that I ever knew their body of work and was like, wow, this is impressive. And then Keith Haring. And then I was like... After I saw Keith Haring, I was like, I want to paint. So it's really... Keith Haring is the biggest, I think, of, like... As far as, like, let me get up and paint. But as far as philosophy and technique goes, I think they go much farther than Jean-Michel. But... like I was saying, Mark Roth, like that 100% Mark Rothko is the philosophy of my work, but it's hard for me to talk about the technique just because I love everything, you know? I love, like I said about that Clorox logo, like I've never tried that, but it's because I love pop art too, you know? I love a lot of it, not all of it, but yeah, so I mean, there's definitely bigger influences, but I love them a lot. I really do.
Can you see yourself in the same way that Picasso went from his Cubist days to later styles that he had? Can you see yourself making a style shift?
Oh, absolutely. I think I don't know if I already have, but I look at my first works and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like I've done shit where I look at other paintings, famous paintings as studies to do new paintings, and then I do it with my own paintings, which is cool.
Do you, I mean, maybe on your phone or something, do you have an example of one of your older paintings compared to a painting today?
Yeah, let's see. I mean...
You want to talk about anything in the meantime, Matt?
Like, no. I mean,
We can talk about something completely different if you
Yeah, I
want.
don't
Red
know.
Tide.
Yeah, Red Tide.
Oh, my brother lives out on Longboat, and he's getting it, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so like this kind of shit. This is early. This is really even not that early. This is 2017, and it's very animated. You know, like it's very like this is a concrete head and very like.
Yeah.
I don't want to say like there's hilarity to it. I don't want to say it, but there definitely is. With my early work, I was joking. I mean, not always joking. Like, of course, it was serious because I was really serious about it. But you can tell that I'm kind of like just kind of playing with the viewer, you know. And I don't do that at all anymore.
You should tag me in that so I could put it up on the.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll do it later, but let me see. I mean, this is all new shit. Like, it was still not that new, but I mean. Like, see, this is a painting that doesn't look anything like a Jean-Michel, right? You know, I'll do a really expressive head, and then I'll turn around and do this. And this was
What is this made out of?
these are all individual drawings on this like old paper that I did of just with a black pen of just kind of just doing that same motion over and over again for about a week. And these are just individual little
Wow.
yeah. And so each one is an original drawing that I cut up and pasted. So I could have just copied and pasted it, but I guess this is my one painting that you look at and you can tell I spent time on it.
Well, this one, I mean, go back to that. That is a complete departure from what I usually see that you have up there.
Oh yeah, that's the thing is I do. My goal with a painting usually is to keep it completely abstract, but sometimes I can't. You know, I have to put a face to get that emotion off. You know, to get so you can see the expression in the eyes or the whatever. You know. Yeah, I'll tag you in both these so you put it up. But.
Have you ever attempted a painting that wasn't abstract at all or had no intention of being expressionist?
Sorry, say the question again.
Have you ever attempted a painting completely out of your regular wheelhouse?
Oh yeah. I guess that one, and just because I never thought about let me spend a week making the same type of drawing over and over again in hopes that it'll work out on a painting. So I mean that was a really, and I remember doing it and thinking like, what the fuck am I gonna do after this? So like, there's times like that, and like the Clorox thing that I was just talking about.
Yeah, that's a big departure
yeah,
from the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I was like that's a real leap for my work. And
do you have a picture of the Clorox one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
I was interested in that one. That was
Wow, yeah. I can't believe I didn't show. But yeah, I mean I touched it up some more, but
that's not what I was expecting at all.
It's actually a diptych. See, they're two paintings that go together. I did at the same time.
Oh wow.
And
I thought the Clorox was gonna be. We'll put this one up too. I thought the Clorox was gonna be much more pronounced, but
yeah.
Is that the Yeezus head right there?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So this painting specifically is about. I mean, it's a really confrontational painting because you're confronted with I think all kinds of emotions, but the biggest thing is reference to things like the Yeezy head. That mask is just I love that era of Kanye because it's the black sheep of his albums, and like it's so fucking weird, and like he was living in France just getting into electronic music, and like he was like let me
that's the one thing underground thing I know about is like his his influences about
he was like let me get this weird guy, the French EDM guy that's never heard hip hop to make a hip hop song.
That was cool.
Like only Kanye does shit like that. So anyway, so that was I love that era, so I did that reference there, and maybe the Clorox is reference to my Publix days, you know, just being at Publix and loving the logo. But
this one seems, and this is when was this made?
I mean, a week ago, less than a week.
This one seems to just have so much going on compared to that first one you showed us.
Yeah.
This is such a big leap forward.
Yeah, so this each of these drawings that I pasted in the back, these are just individual scribbles of oil pastel that I would take like 3 colors at once and just go like that. And that was the same thing of making a bunch of drawings in hopes that would be the background.
Go into the guy's head here.
This is actually a drawing I've done more and more over the years.
Are those the comedy and drama faces?
Pretty much, or just like as you can see, there's only 3 eyeballs. You know, they overlap.
Mm-hmm.
So, and see how the eyebrows are like. You know, I just noticed that one day just because I made so many heads of like when you do like 2 eyebrows facing down, you know, like 2 angry eyebrows, and then it's just the opposite when you do worried.
Yeah.
So here's the 2 like I was talking about, ecstasy and doom. The most beautiful thoughts are always followed by the darkest. You know, that constant thing in my life of I feel that my ultimate low, and then right after it, I feel this incredible high. So it's like, and maybe that's bipolar. I don't know, but I think it's just being in tune with yourself. But
could be bipolar.
Yeah, fuck it, sure, man. I'm bipolar. I'll take it. But
I gotta show you something.
And this one last thing about the bucket here. The bucket is reference to the phrase, you know, the bucket list or kick the bucket, you know, the idea that everybody's got their time. So, and there's this figure sort of walking away from it, and this other figure kind of bringing it, you know. So, yeah, just another reference. I mean, I like.
How big is this?
It's probably.
Is it like this? I picture it being like
about 5 feet tall, maybe, or maybe 4.5 by.
It's like an Asian woman.
Yeah, maybe like 5 by 4, maybe. I don't know.
It's like a really fat Asian woman.
Let me see if I got the mural that I'm working on. Oh, these are. Let's just see this real quick. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Just to get that on the airwaves.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I read this Time magazine in preparation for this podcast, The Science of Creativity. This has informed me a lot about what's going on. There's a whole section in here about crazy people and their tendency towards art.
Yeah.
It said that's some crazy number, like 80% of British poets have mental disorders.
Oh, yeah.
And they suffer from mania a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The whole entire piece was talking about mania and how artists will get into this state where just their brains are on overflow.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you just can't stop the ideas from coming? I got to get these out while they're in my head.
That's my sickness, man. That's my life. It's what I deal with. It's just a cacophony of emotions.
That's a good word. Cacophony.
That's a good word.
I live in a cacophony of emotions, and that's what that's why the paintings look like how they do, is because I can't get out of my head. And I did this shirt, you know, outside my head is a beautiful, out of my mind is a beautiful place, because when I do lose my mind and I do have like some kind of mental breakdown, it's like a breakthrough, like Kanye said, because you know, you feel liberated in the sense of I've left my mind, you know, I've left, like, I'm no longer stuck in here, you know, being confronted with everything. I have this opportunity to be like, wow, look at this fucking bird go by and shit. So it's like, I do think outside of my head a lot to experience something, but at the same time, it's the hardest thing to do, because it's just, I don't know, too many things live in my head, you know?
While we're on the subject of the mind, do you ever try, well, another thing, so you know how we are the result of our brain structures?
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that when you're in a creative state or when you're feeling some way? Do you ever try to rationalize it with like, well, these are just chemical balances in my
like
head?
That's like how it is.
I do think sometimes that, I mean, everybody's got something these days. Everybody's got some kind of D's, ADD, ADHD, PTSD. Somebody's got some kind of D, but I think
D's nuts.
Yeah. I think I have one of those, I'm sure, because I remember like reading a question, you know, like in high school, and being like, why literally taking me 20 minutes to read this question, because I got to read it for the first 4 times without thinking it in my head, like just reading words. And then I got to read it 5 more times where I actually read it, and then another 5 where I'm like, okay, let me try to answer it now. So it's like, I definitely have one of these things, one of these dilemmas, but I don't ever want to find out what it is.
You ever get lost in a book and you realize you've gone 2 chapters without processing a single word? Not 2 paragraphs or something.
Not 2 chapters, but yeah.
You ever really read the whole book without even knowing who the main character is?
But I knew where you're getting at, you know. But yeah, that definitely happens. But I also don't, just kind of like a side note about what you're saying with the diseases or whatever. I just think that's like something we define as part of our brain. We like to define stuff. I'm super against like definitions, because
Labels.
It's just like a label, you know.
Yeah, it's boxes. Put yourself in a box.
It's like that's a really good example of definitions. But with everything. Like we should just stop defining things.
Yeah, it's just like I mean, just like sexuality and things like this. Like of everybody's got like so you got to have a name for what you feel or what you're attracted to. It's like it's really sad that. I mean, maybe all these people will die off, and it'll be left with people like you and me that just know, like, you know, at this point, what even is someone that's gay, lesbian, you know, all these words. But then again, a lot of these people want the label.
Yeah, they like the LGBTQ.
So like,
thing.
yeah, and because it's a community kind of thing.
Yep.
So, and who am I to say I'm not part of this? I like it's like me, or like you guys putting in your opinion on like you know, like. Black suffering and these kind of things like what are we putting our sense in, like we it's not about us. So like to talk about these like you know gay rights and these things, but it's a little unnecessary. But I do think labels are the demise of you know freedom, true self freedom, you know, freedom from yourself and freedom from other eyes.
Can you give an example of that?
I mean, same with like the disorders, like you like it's a very popular thing where you go to like kids these days, like young kids, you go to like the playground and all the moms are at the picnic table and they go, all right, go play Johnny or whatever, and as soon as the kid goes, they go, yeah, he's got PTSD and ADD.
The kid's got PTSD.
Yeah, like he's
had
like
a tough time in Nam.
Yeah, the kid went to Vietnam and all this shit.
Like on vacation in 2001.
The definitions bothered me was, you know, whatever I was in high school, maybe like a prep or something.
Yeah. Like,
okay, maybe I am that, like, by definition, but I'm still gonna go back to my room and make shirts and make music and be, you know, like, I don't have to.
Something totally different was gonna happen when you said go back to your room.
No, like, I don't have to, you know, follow, like, a definition. I think it's so, it's just humans like to find comfort in that. Like, I can call this that, and I can call this that, and we can have this separate.
Yeah, my mom's like that. My mom's always saying like I'm all for, of course, if whatever you are, you should be that. And like talking about LGBT, all this shit, and saying like, you know. But you need to be one or the other. Say like know what you are and be able to. So I know, and like that's the thing of like fuck you. Why do you have to know what I am? Yeah. But then there's that other thing of they want you like they expect you to know their pronoun and all this shit. Yeah. You guys, you know, Tom Segura, you know that comedian.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah, you know how they have that podcast, Your Mom's House, with the wife. So they do that one thing of it's like somebody told Tom Segura one day, like, and if you're ever just not sure of if this is a man or a woman or whatever, something in between, you just say, hey, what's your pronoun? Like that's a question you actually ask people these days. Mm-hmm. Hey, dude, what's your pronoun? Yeah. You know, like, that's just so fucking crazy that, like, everybody's got, like, you know, they want you to refer you as they, you know, and it's just like, don't expect me to know what you are, you know? So, like, so then don't fuck with the labels, you know? Just be who you are and love who you are and love who you love, you know?
Yeah, that's so
Well, that's almost... It's kind of contradictory, though, because
sure,
you think... So, you could on one hand say no labels, everyone's too... And it's true, everyone's too complicated for a label, especially to themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Best known their own uniqueness. But, you know, labels aren't going to fit everybody. Then again, there's a certain line that you got to draw where, okay, well, it's just ridiculous beyond a certain point. You got to have the ease of just society operating. For example, with, you know, needing to ask someone their gender pronoun, that's kind of beyond a reasonable ease, you know?
Yeah.
You think the label that you can give all of us is a man reasonably, right? Mm-hmm. And sure, someone could be wrong, but that's an honest mistake.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Of course, yeah. I mean, and I think about that shit sometimes too. Like, are you guys all three of you guys? You guys sure you guys are men?
I mean,
yeah. You ever guys have a moment where you're like, I might want to get some operation done? You know? You ever had that thought?
Well, I just remember when I was younger, like a super little kid, I'd be like, I didn't choose to be a boy. You know what I mean?
Oh,
when I was little, because like they talk about me being a baby, and I'd be like, I like never. It's kind of weird. I never chose. You know, it's like I not that I'm comfortable being whatever I am now, but you know, it's just kind of funny. And I think it's cool that people get to choose if they want to now.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm pretty. I mean, 19 years old, I'm pretty sure I'm a man, you know? But I don't know how much of a man I am, but...
The question is, well, I mean, inherently you are a man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about. 'Cause
I think you not feeling like a man doesn't mean that the term man is not correct. It just means it's not wide enough
do
to
you mean like
encompass all types of
masculinity?
men.
Do you mean more? Because like that.
Wait, what?
Do you mean more like masculinity? Like that kind of like being a man? I thought you meant more.
I don't know about masculinity as like testosterone and this kind of shit, but
Yeah.
I do see like someone like my dad or something as like, oh, that's a man. Like that's a guy that was like, you know, I save my money and I don't owe anybody money. Like that's a very
typical,
manly
like,
thing.
dude thing.
Like as a life thing of what I mean man in the terms of life of like this guy, a man has his shit together, a man has his head on straight,
Oh,
a
okay.
man has a clear head.
Yeah,
Like
there's
a
more
passing
like
thing,
Scientific
yeah.
term than, like,
No,
I know what you mean.
Like
No.
I think that's one of my fears is like, you know, am I still a kid? Am I ever gonna?
You mean like manning up, kind of?
Yeah,
okay.
manning up.
I took that in
Yeah.
a different direction,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
Peyton manning up.
There's a difference between being a guy, a man, and the man.
Yeah.
The man.
Because we're all technically guys. Only some people are men, but only
Yeah.
one's the
Yeah,
man.
there can only be one, the man.
And all that stuff's kind of touchy, which sucks because like I would never mean to offend anyone, but it happens, you know.
Yeah, you gotta be. Yeah, it's a climate, you know.
Yeah.
But
You're probably gonna offend someone,
yeah.
and there's probably a lot of people who hate your art.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's just it's gonna be that way.
That's just really what
there's too
happens.
many opinions
Yeah.
out
You
there.
gotta be okay with that. Well, the thing is, I've had people come like if someone has a real like disgusted reaction in front of one of my paintings, that's better than someone saying, "Oh, I like this painting," you know, because they felt it. They had a good enough. They felt it enough to be like, ugh, you know, and have this like revolted feeling, and then go up to you and say, "That's a piece of shit, man." Like that's, you know, like I love that someone looked at it long enough to have that genuine reaction.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Have you ever? It's a lyric from. Do you know that band? What are they called? They have the Emergency and I album, the Dismemberment Plan. That's the band.
Oh no.
They have
Sounds
this
fire.
one lyric that's called. It goes, "The only thing worse than bad memories is no memories at all."
Wow. Yeah.
That's kind of, if you make a piece of art and someone hates it, you go, well, at least that's better than neutral, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Lil Pump, I think
Yeah. Let's start there.
he makes music that probably the majority of people hate, but there is a cult following of people aged 12 to 16,
Including
who
Anthony Fantano.
Yeah, who really like that stuff, or anybody, you know, like that. Most trappers. And I think that even though 85% of the population does not like Lil Pump's music, that 15%, he gets all the love from that 15%, and he feels like the man. You know?
Yeah.
And he doesn't even care about it because there's such a huge amount of opinion out there that there's no way that one person could process all of it.
And I was talking about this with the girl, you know, like, you know, Lil Pump's like younger than us, you know.
Yeah.
Lil Pump had braces up until like a week ago.
Yeah, I think he's 17.
He's
17?
He's 17 years old.
Wow.
And he's got a lot of influence for a 17-year-old.
Too much.
Yeah.
That's true. That's yeah.
But I think he.
We're 19. We're in the clear.
He plays into people because he knows people are annoyed by him and don't like him, so he kind of plays into it. Like his
Lil Pump?
his next album I saw on like the Instagram Discover. It's called Harvard Dropout. You know, it's like that was like his tagline. Is like,
Oh wow.
I dropped out of Harvard. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
That was his thing. But so now he makes an album like
It
He
took
just-
me so I don't know how
he's a
many
meme.
times I saw somebody wearing this Get It T-shirt or like hoodie until I was like, oh, let's get it. You
Yeah.
know, I thought it was like skeet. I was like, what is? I don't understand.
I just realized this now.
Oh yeah.
It means let's get
Yeah,
it.
it means
Yeah,
like,
I thought it
let's
was
get
just a noise.
I mean,
Hey,
it probably
let's get it.
could be.
Let's
But
get it.
Let's go get it.
let's go get it.
That's what Mark Zuckerberg said when he dropped out of
Yeah.
Harvard.
Yeah.
Let's go get it, guys.
Oh man, that
And then he
guy's-
got into trouble with the
Have you
Senate.
seen the social media or what's it called?
The social network.
Yeah.
Have you seen social
Yeah, have
media?
you heard of the
Period.
Have you seen that social media shit that's going on?
Have you been on the Facebook lately?
No, I never saw that, but he definitely is an alien. You
Oh, he's
know?
an alien, yeah. And he's also like a serious asshole.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah. Well, have you seen?
A long time ago.
He's an ass.
Well, that's forgiven. You got to be crazy to do something like that.
No, it's not about being crazy.
No, I mean, no. That's a type of crazy. That's emotionally unintelligent.
He's emotionally unintelligent. He's also.
You gotta
like
take
a
that trait.
lizard,
No one's
so.
perfect.
That's
Matthew McConaughey's probably got some fucked up things about him.
That's the thing is I think a lot about how many haven't gotten Me Too'd yet. Because I don't know how much of a Louis C.K. fan you guys are, but that was the biggest
That was a
tragedy.
That was
tragedy,
tough.
yeah.
That was tough.
I couldn't believe it. It's like that's the Bill Cosby for me, man.
Yeah.
Well, you can't compare Louis C.K. to Bill
No,
Cosby.
but I mean like black people's like reaction to their disbelief for when Bill Cosby shit came out of like Kanye West tweeting Bill Cosby is innocent, you know, I understand this man literally got the equal numbers to the Super Bowl every time the Cosby Show aired.
Yeah, it was
like
crazy.
this is a man that literally changed the core. And like when Martin Luther King spoke with the microphones on the you know what he was speaking on a PA system paid for by Bill Cosby. Like
Wait, Bill Cosby paid for Martin Luther King's?
it's something I heard something like that. It was a Dave Chappelle thing, but
Dave Chappelle. I saw him live.
Yeah. But you saw him live?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I'm a big Chappelle fan.
I think that I cared a lot more about the Louis C.K. thing than I did about the Cosby thing.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I'm a bigger Louis C.K. fan.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it's generational. I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that's what he was getting at. He's like, that was my Bill Cosby thing.
Yeah. Like,
Some
and
people
but then
are-
again, he's coming back.
He's gonna have some good shit when he comes back.
He's coming back because
Louis
he
C.K.,
jerked off in front of some people.
he apologized.
He completely like the next day like they put out that shit that Times article or whatever it was, or New York Post did it, and literally the next day he was like, yeah, that's true. So it's like how many of those did that?
I wonder where he's at right now.
Oh, I think about it. I was so afraid when that happened that he was gonna kill himself. You have no idea.
He's probably living in Guam or something. He's gonna come back on stage a year from now. Guess what I've been doing?
Well,
Beating it in
did
Guam.
Kevin Spacey, what about the reaction? Kevin Spacey, he just literally was like, hey, sorry I did everything, I'm gay. Like, he came out of the closet.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like his like way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then you have what's his nuts? Oh, that you guys ever heard Mario Batali, that chef?
Yeah.
He goes, his
He got
answer.
Me Too?
Yeah, he got Me Too, and then he was like, they told all the stories. He goes, yeah, that sounds like me. You know, that was his reaction. You know, so at that point you're like, oh man, I might be forgiven.
Damn.
But no, yeah, that's really fucked up.
It's-
But women,
it's fucked up.
it's crazy how much shit women have to deal with, man.
I know.
Like I was just talking to a girl, and she was telling me like just a casual story of a guy she works with, like going to, like hearing that she's 18 and going and like saying some shit like, oh, I'd love to fucking like you know, like just being a dude, finding out that this girl's 18 and like saying no you can't, no you're 18, you know, like that's just like, and she just like threw that like, yeah, you kind of get used to it, man. That's depressing, man.
I feel like I gotta say something.
Yeah.
I was
Bring it
hanging
in.
out with this girl in Orlando. Just got done hanging out with her at a concert, and we go out to this coffee shop that she always goes to. And she's like, "Oh man, I gotta tell you something about this kid on the couch there." And she's like, "Yeah, I kind of went out, hung out with him on a date, and then as he's dropping me off, or as I'm like taking him home, or it was the end of the date. Apparently, he's sitting in the passenger seat, and then just all of a sudden, just starts jerking off.
What the hell?
Yeah, and out of nowhere. And then she's telling me this like
Fucking Louis C.K.
Yeah, exactly. She's telling me like a casual story too. Like, oh yeah, that happened.
Like that just happens to these
Yeah.
girls. Like, and it's like every girl you talk to has one story of a gross dude, and it's like there's there's black suffrage, there's gay rights, there's all these things. Women deal with a lot of shit, dude.
And it is, people are always like, there are, like the men and women have equal experiences or like similar experiences. I have never, in my experience, has there ever been like a genuinely creepy, gross, weird girl that's come up to me and been like,
Never once. And here's the thing: if you were driving, hold on, if you were driving or whatever, and the girl in the passenger seat just starts rubbing the propeller, you'd be like, oh, what's up? Let's go inside.
It would-
you
it
know,
would
like you'd be like,
be-
fuck,
It's just like,
because you're a
you know,
dude.
it's just not how it goes.
Men think with their dickhead, not their head. You know.
Yeah.
Wait till it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's not that that's happened to me, but like, the people that are doing that to you aren't the people that you would think of wanting to have sex with.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there
true.
have been girls that have come on to be very strong, but never a girl that's been like crossed a line where I was like, all right, like I'm uncomfortable. That was.
I'm a Lyft driver. And
Oh,
Uber
yeah.
driver. I picked up this
So-
like 80-year-old woman who was belligerently drunk, and
no.
she like would not stop. Like, pull over. We'll just like have sex like right here.
Oh,
I'm like,
my
"God,
God.
just pull over. And like,
Holy crap.
What was the sex like?
Stand up in the making.
I don't have a Wikipedia article this time, but I do have a piece of paper that I want to read.
Normally, we like he picks a random Wikipedia article. And we
Oh wow,
talk
that's
about it.
cool.
Yeah.
A segment.
It's kind of based off an old Wikipedia article that we did. So, I think last time around we were trying to figure out how a dream worked or what a dream was. And I actually did some research and I figured it out and I have it written down here. So, essentially what a dream is you go to sleep but your brain continues to think, and it's not conscious thinking. Your brain continues to subconsciously think. So you close your eyes, right? You lie down in bed. And your prefrontal cortex is the area of your brain that helps you focus on tasks by filtering out unimportant info. And when you go to sleep, there's no tasks to do. So your prefrontal cortex shuts down. Or it shuts down, powers down, whatever. So dreams are essentially the free flow of thoughts in your brain that get to break loose now that your prefrontal cortex and your left side of your brain are not using all of the power in the brain. So your prefrontal cortex and your left side kind of wrangle all the thoughts and keep your brain in order so you can focus on day-to-day tasks. And when there's no day-to-day tasks to do, those places shut down. So all this free association of thought in between your different neurons can start spreading throughout your head, and your right side really takes off. Also, in the back of your head, your visual center really takes off too, because so much literally electricity, but brain power and energy is not being used by the prefrontal cortex now, that your visual center also starts to take off. And so this explains why we have visions in our dream, because your visual center is hyperactive even though your eyes aren't doing anything. So it just generates these images in your head. And then you're still thinking about stuff, just things that you randomly think, like when you're just sitting there in your car, just no music on, just your mind wandering. That's basically what a dream is, except there's no filter on it now. Nothing's being filtered out. It's just the thoughts, and it's just these visuals being generated in the back of your head. So the unchecked flow of thoughts mixes with the unchecked visual center to create the dream scenes. And the brain tries to make sense of all of this and weaves a narrative together to try to make the thoughts and images fit. And that's what a dream is.
Wow. Well, thank you for following up on the last one.
Yeah.
It's heavy, man.
Have you heard of dimethyltryptamine and or the pineal gland?
I
DMT.
definitely have, yeah.
Okay.
This is the man, yeah.
Because I feel like you
This is
didn't
the
mention
shaman.
any pineal gland or...
Yeah, pineal gland. Yeah, I mean, I got it from this Time magazine. This is just kind of the basic way of how it works. I suppose. Well, is the pineal gland located in the right side of the brain?
It's located in the center.
Which means it's half on the right side, so I guess I'm right.
The third eye, dude.
Yeah.
I used to be really, really into like, Western kind of shit of like the whole crystals and energy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then meditating. There was around 10th grade was my time of meditating and like I'd fall asleep with a stone on every chakra. Like I was that heavy, and I'd be like this laying, and my brother would like walk home and I'd be like with a fucking thing on my head. And it's because like I really felt that was before I got into art and everything. It was because this was the only thing I cared about, was having this organic like high of just like you're around like a rock, and like after a month hanging out with that one rock, and you start to feel a shit. And it sounds crazy, but it's like I've in my studio at my garage I've just put piles of stones and crystals around everywhere. And it's developed this atmosphere where I can't paint anywhere else. Like I tried, and of course I painted in the gallery and I made great shit, but nothing compares to the feeling of painting in my studio, Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're talking about dreams, but
No, that's really
I heard the pineal gland. I thought we get a little spiritual.
Yeah.
Dreams are like the whole topic.
I mean,
Yeah.
does you guys have a favorite dream or a dream that's always stood out? I heard the one about the plane crash. I heard that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
heavy shit.
That would have been cool if we actually did that, but it didn't happen. Dream.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't had any good ones recently because I've been doing this wake up at 6 a.m. stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I just really get up and go. So I don't have time to write any of them down.
I don't have any reoccurring ones that stand out.
Oh,
but,
really?
All my dreams, I mentioned it maybe, I think I mentioned it at a different time, maybe just talking to him, but all of mine are like kind of shitty, you know? Like they're like usually kind of bad, so
Yeah.
I either try not to remember them or my body like doesn't remember, my brain doesn't remember them because they were bad. I kind of wake up and I'm glad I'm alive or in this existence.
It's weird. They were saying in this magazine that your dreams, they're the continuation of thoughts, and so say that you're focusing on a math, for example, say you're focusing on a math problem or something and you can't figure it out and you quit and you say, you know, I'm not gonna bother focusing on this. It says that your brain just keeps working at it. It just puts it one level lower and keeps working at it completely without your conscious effort. And that could be with, say you're trying to come up with a melody or a lyric or trying to figure out how something should look. And if you say, you know what, I just can't fucking figure this out, and you go to bed, your brain will keep working at it until, maybe sometimes until it doesn't, but a lot of times until a solution comes. And when you feel like something just comes to you like that, it's not like it came out of thin air. Your brain's been working on it.
That's figured it out. That's
yeah.
why it figures it out.
Yeah.
It's like that. You guys know, you guys ever heard of that movie,
Lorax?
The Imitation Game?
I've heard of
The
it.
one about Alan Turing and the guy that made the first computer.
Mm-hmm.
That it was nominated for an Oscar. I loved that movie. It and like that just reminded me of the part where the shit finally just clicks. The machine just finally stops, and it's like that thing of you just finally figure it out of just like it's done computing. Your brain's just done. But I mean, I think I've had a lot of reoccurring dreams, and I do forget a lot of them, but I do have ability to kind of keep them and want to do something with them. Like for example, like I was talking about, I got this VHS camera and I want to start getting into silent film and stuff. I want to just film a bunch of dreams that I've had and recreate them. And the main one, which is going to be the hardest, which is one where I had this dream many, many times over. It's been a while since I had it, but it's just it opens with me waking up in a teepee, and I get up and I kind of just like struggle to stand, and then I leave the teepee and there's a fire there, and a native woman brings me to the fire, and I sit down and they put a blanket around me, and then I just start crying. I just start weeping hysterically, and then this woman pours water over my head as I'm weeping, but the water never runs. It's like a big bowl, but it felt like I was having the dream in real time, like 10 minutes, a 10-minute long dream of this water being poured and the bowl never emptying, and it kept happening. And it's one of those things. It's like you try and figure it out, and I haven't really been able to really grasp it yet. But I know that it's gonna make great film.
I was gonna say that would look really cool.
But it's hard. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do water not running out. You know.
It sounds like you need to paint a picture of a waterfall.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is I could have painted that, and I thought that was going to be the mural.
But the motion of it, you kind of want to...
Yeah, well, the mural that I started at the gallery, and then the one I'm doing now, the original idea was I have to paint this dream on this mural. That it'll be the apex of the pinnacle of every experience I've ever had. But it ended up being an accumulation of everything, But and it's almost one of those things, I don't want to paint it yet. I don't want to do anything with that dream yet because I can see it so perfectly in my head. It's like, why would I want to, like, I could wait till I'm 40 and I really understand it, Mm-hmm.
I can see how that'd be really cool as film, though. There's a lot of cool tricks you could do with film.
Yeah.
You'll probably have more amazing dreams in between now and 40 that might outdo that one.
Yeah, I have a lot,
The whole film thing, though, you could have that as sort of, so you're sitting there, right, in front of, is it nighttime? I pictured it being nighttime.
Yeah.
And there's a fire, correct?
Yeah, big fire, yeah.
You're sitting there, the native woman's pouring the water, and her pour gets heavier and heavier, and the water starts splattering all around your face, and it zooms in on your face, getting splattered by the water, and then it zooms back out, and you're on a raining beach.
Yeah.
And then, but you're meditating, so that's kind of like those are your meditative thoughts, and then when it zooms back out, still the water splattering on your face, but it's raindrops this time.
Dude.
Wow.
You're gonna be my executive producer, apparently.
That would be kind of dope.
Yeah. That'd be really dope. a lot of cool things.
A lot of cool things.
A lot of cool different mediums.
A lot of cool things. Not a whole lot of people who will watch a 5-hour podcast.
That's true, but we did
We
it.
straight went 5 hours?
No, we did.
6.
We went something. I don't know. We went a good amount of time, but it was. We could talk for.
Well, I mean, first of all, this is. I was actually trying to with the first idea for the camera that I got was to do an interview of Adam Boehm here asking me the questions, and we were gonna film it on VHS. I had my brother film it, real weird angles and all this, and so like I still have that idea, but because I was always wanted to be able to talk, because no one ever wants to talk about art. No one ever. I never have the chance to really stretch my legs when it comes to talking about art.
Really?
So
Not
this-
even in the art scene in St. Pete?
No, because that's the thing is nobody. Not that no one's as well rounded as me, but nobody.
You can
Can
just say
make
it if
it-
that's what you think.
Yeah, it is. Well, nobody can make the references to art history.
Yeah.
You know, and like I want to be able to do that, and while I talk about my work, but so that's what I mean. Is like this is my shit, dog. I mean, I'd love to come back and do this anytime.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love having you
so
on.
Sick having
Yeah,
you
man,
on.
this
So,
is great.
I mean, I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, let's
Alright.
just cut it there. Fuck you, Cassidy.